Chapter 802. In the House of Gold. Fong Ping was fighting with two monsters. In another isolated small room, it was pitch black. At this moment, LV Zhen had also sobered up quite a bit. The neo-martial artists didn't have any methods of confinement. As for crippling one's martial arts, that didn't exist either. Once a golden body was achieved, unless his mentality was destroyed, it would be very difficult for him to pass out when he reached rank 9. He had been beaten senseless just now. Now that he had woken up, LV Zhen's heart trembled. He opened his eyes and saw nothing but darkness. Who attacked me? Where am I? LV Zhen wanted to move, but he found that the place he was in seemed to be a coffin. The space was frighteningly small. After squeezing for a while, LV Zhen's heart suddenly stirred. This did not seem to be real space. Materialized space. I was caught and brought into the materialized space. Who did it? Why did you attack me? LV Zhen felt that he had been wronged. He had just come out of the domain and did not notice the other party's existence. In the blink of an eye, he was grabbed by the neck and beaten violently until he was stunned. The key was that LV Zhen felt very safe. A top-notch expert had escorted him out right at his doorstep. How could he be ambushed? Let me out. Brother, are you a human warrior? I'm also a human martial artist from China. I'm not a bad person. On the other side, Fong Ping's saber had shattered the wolf monster's golden bones. His heart trembled when he heard that. This Lu? Holy shit! Which Lu? Fortunately, one day, someone told him that a certain person's father may have gotten lost in the domain. No way, right? I'm from Sino Nation. This is Magic City's catacombs. Brother, I'm sure you're from Sino Nation too? I'm also quite famous in China. You know Lu Zhen? Fong Ping did not utter a word. He slashed at the wolf demon and fox monsters in a frenzy. The next moment, Fong Ping's voice was sharp. Grandmaster Lu, don't worry, Grandmaster. I'm here to save you. How dare you? How dare you attack Grandmaster Lu? Fong Ping's voice was piercing. He had made a big mistake. I beat my own Grandmaster into a dog. Damn, why did LV Zhen appear here? No, his appearance here seemed to be very normal. Most importantly, Fong Ping thought he was dead. He really thought that LV Zhen was dead. How did he get in? That beating just now was a little troublesome. He was deceiving his master and destroying his ancestors. Although the modern world no longer followed the old ways, Lu Fengru was his instructor, so she was his master. Lu Fengru's father had been beaten up miserably by him and thrown into the House of Gold like a dead dog. If he knew his identity, Fong Ping dared not think further. He roared, "Is Grandmaster Lu the father of MCMAU's instructor Lu Fengru?" Needless to say, it was really difficult for him to break into the other party's materialized space. But now this MCMAU vice-chancellor actually beat the other party to the point of self-destructing to threaten him. It was really terrifying. I haven't gone out for a few years. Looks like there's a new powerhouse in the outside world. Is he from the Sex or Star City? Lu Zhen knew about Star City. When he was young, he had also interacted with Liemo in Star City. However, he knew very little about it, not much. Although Lu Zhen's strength was average, he was a veteran grandmaster and had a wide circle of friends. He knew 99% of the grandmaster powerhouses in Sino Nation. He was really not familiar with this Grandmaster Fong Ping. Listening to the voice, he could not tell anything from the martial artist's voice. But he felt quite young. Could it be an old antique living in seclusion or a new generation powerhouse? Lu Zhen could only wait for the results at this time. Fong Ping asked him to be patient, but in this materialized space, communication was not convenient. He also did not know if he should go all out at this time. and for a moment, he was in a bit of a dilemma. Outside, Fong Ping had already beaten the fox demon beast to the brink of collapse. However, seeing that the fox demon beast's chi activity was getting stronger and stronger, Fong Ping also felt a little helpless. Was it going to self-destruct? Right now, he still did not have the strength to kill a rank 9 demon beast in one blow. Killing the wolf demon earlier was also because the other party had consumed too much energy and was fooled by him stupidly. Now that the fox demon beast wanted to self-destruct, he really did not have a good idea. What a pity! I'm afraid I'll be missing a rank 9 divine weapon. Fong Ping also felt helpless, but at this time, he might not be able to keep the other party's brain and heart nucleus. Forget it. Then I'll kill the other party first and settle the trouble first. Fong Ping unleashed his full strength again. Very soon, the fox demon beast could not take it anymore. It roared angrily, and an extremely violent explosion sounded. Behind them, the 4 rank 9 demons were terrified. What should they do? They also thought of surrounding and killing this person together. But as soon as they got close, the space cracks nearby appeared. Now that 2 demon kings were killed, what should they do? Just when these demons were at a loss, Jiao, who was behind, suddenly roared. Roar! At this moment, Fong Ping's body was covered in blood, and he could not recover quickly. He turned his head to take a look, and seemed to have just noticed Jiao. With a look of surprise, he said, "Brother Jiao." Jiao roared, leaped into the air, and quickly roared. Why are you here?" Fong Ping was extremely surprised, and said in surprise, "You want to plead for them?" Roar. "That won't do. If they left now, where could they go?" Go outside the domain of the domain. But they were not familiar with the outside world, and there were other demons. The demons had a strong sense of territory. If they went somewhere else, a war might break out. Going to the Forbidden Sea was even more dangerous. They waited for Jiao, but Fong Ping was a little anxious. Elvijan was still locked up. At this moment, Fong Ping could feel the situation in the Golden House. Elvijan was already a little impatient. He was condensing his strength, preparing to fight his way out. This old man is actually still alive, and he broke through to rank 9. Although a weak rank, 9 is nothing, his speed is really fast. I remember instructor said before that he was only peak rank 7. It's only been a few years, and he's already rank 9? What opportunity did he obtain in the bounded domain? The people in the bounded domain didn't kill him, but gave him benefits. The key is, how did he get in? Fong Ping was a little puzzled. He was not surprised that he came in. If Elvijan passed through the Forbidden Sea tributary when the energy tide erupted, he might be able to come over safely. Back then, Qin Feng Qing and the rest came in this way. If Elvijan was lucky, he might encounter it. The key was, how did he enter the boundary wall? Could it be that Elvijan is related to Quichang Mountain? Fong Ping was a little suspicious. Elvijan probably did not have a token. Without a token, he went in directly. Could it be that he was a resurrected martial artist? Or was it a resurrected martial artist from Quichang Mountain? Or perhaps the people inside simply let him in on purpose. This was not impossible. After thinking for a while, Fong Ping stopped thinking. He would know when he asked later. The key now was that he had hit him. He should not know that he was the one who hit him, right? When I hit him, I restrain my aura. But if I speak, he should be able to hear my voice, right? This is troublesome. Fong Ping sighed. If this was a simple offense, it would not be a big deal. He almost blew someone up. He was too embarrassed. Forget it. Forget it. I'll hide it first. If I'm really discovered, we'll talk about it. At most, I'll just get beaten up by him. Fong Ping shook his head. Wasn't it just a beating? I don't care. At most, I'll get beaten up by you. The key is, you're only a weak rank, 9. If I defend myself, you might not be able to break my defense. That's not right. His son-in-law is Old Wu. I've beaten up Old Wu's father-in-law. In order to remarry, Old Wu won't do anything to me, right? Fang Ping's imagination ran wild. At this time, behind him, the Jiao's aura fluctuated violently. The peak rank, 8 Jiao had swallowed a rank 9 monster's golden body and swallowed a large amount of imperishable substance. Rank 9 soon. This was the first time Fang Ping saw a demon rank up. The first time he met the Jiao, and it seemed like the Jiao was also rank up. This fellow was rank up fast. In less than 3 years, the demons had just entered rank 8 to rank 9. They were really considered geniuses among the demons. The Jiao was a genius. As he watched the Jiao rank up, Fang Ping sent a voice transmission into the small dark room. He said quickly, "Grandmaster Lu, please wait for a moment. I've already killed my opponent. However, his materialized space is a little special. It didn't disappear after his death. I want to take it and study it completely. I'll try not to destroy it. Grandmaster Lu, can you give me some time?" These words reached Lu Zhen's ears. Lu Zhen also realized that this was indeed a good thing. He said hurriedly, "All right, Vice-Chancellor Fang is very powerful. You killed the enemy so quickly, and even saved my life. Thank you very much, Vice-Chancellor Fang." "Grandmaster Lu, don't be so polite. We have a very deep relationship. If I knew that you were here, I would have come to your rescue earlier." Fang Ping said a few polite words. He was being extremely humble. After the pleasantries, he continued to seal the small dark room with a whoosh. Alvision would stay here first. He did not have time to deal with him. For now, it would not be too late to let him out after he was done with the demons, lest he caused trouble. Chapter 803. In the bounded domain, Jiao's body glowed with golden light. Around them, a group of demons looked at Jiao. Some rank 7 and 8 demons, despite their fear of Fang Ping, could not help but look envious. Rank 9. In the Outland, this was a demon king. Jiao's scoundrel friend, the sheep beast, was also full of envy. The golden-horned beast was about to advance. In its eyes, the golden-horned beast had advanced to venerable level not long ago. In the blink of an eye, it was about to become a demon king. In the long years of the demon race, a few years really passed in the blink of an eye. Roar! Jiao roared in pain. Its advancement was different from Guo Shengquan and the other two. When Guo Shengquan and the other two advanced, they condensed a path out of thin air. That was also a sign that they had stepped onto the origin path. Not sure if Jiao had not stepped onto the origin path, or if the demon's advancement was different. Right now, Jiao seemed to be changing its skin. Its shiny golden armor was falling off, then growing back quickly. The outer armor that fell off did not fall to the ground. Instead, it shattered instantly and melted back into Jiao's body. Jiao's body, which was originally not tall, expanded rapidly from 2 meters tall to 5 meters, 10 meters. In the blink of an eye, Jiao's height reached about 15 meters. Its torso grew even longer, close to 30 meters in length. Fang Ping was a little curious. How did it manage to expand its bones? There were many things about a martial artist that could be traced. Your bones were golden and had already solidified. If your torso expanded, then your bones had to expand too. As for flesh and blood, that was easy. It could be bred. Fang Ping watched for a while, and more or less understood. Jiao's enlargement was not necessarily voluntary. Its strength was too strong, forcing its bones to expand. If it could shrink back to its original size, then it meant that it had mastered rank 9 strength and could use its strength as it pleased. For rank 9, a larger body did not mean that it was stronger. Unless it was voluntary, a larger body meant that it could not control its strength and could not control the changes in its body. Roar. Jiao, which had become a huge monster, roared even more painfully, but also more majestic. Rank 9 was king. It had been planting trees outside Skygate City for decades, all for the sake of becoming a demon king, all for the sake of not being controlled by 100 Beasts Forest. It was a beast that pursued freedom. It did not want anyone to control it from above. Even if the Jiao's forest did not have enough energy and was not as good as the 100 Beasts Forest, it still chose to settle down in the 100 Beasts Forest. Now, it had finally stepped into the king realm. He would become the most powerful existence in the outer realms. Roar. A loud roar echoed throughout the entire domain. The Jiao wagged its tail, lashing at the void. The Jiao looked very similar to a dog, but it had a leopard pattern on its golden horn. It was called the Golden Horn Beast because its golden horn was extremely powerful. Jiao, this is an auspicious beast. This guy doesn't look like an auspicious beast at all. Looking at the arrogant Jiao, Fong Ping muttered to himself. The name Sly came from humans. That was because this fellow looked very similar to the cunning beast recorded in the classic of mountains and seas. It could be the kind of divine beast described by humans during the ancient martial era. However, according to the classic of mountains and seas, the Jiao was an auspicious beast. This guy didn't seem like it, but there are still some differences. According to the records, the Jiao's cry is like a dog's bark. This guy doesn't bark like a dog's. As Fong Ping was thinking, the Jiao suddenly let out a cry. Its golden horn was transforming, and it seemed to be in some pain. This cry, Fong Ping was a little dumbfounded. This cry really sounded like a dog's. This guy, could it have been pretending to howl all this time? The Jiao, whose golden horn was transforming, let out a cry and hurriedly shut its mouth, replacing it with a majestic roar. As for what happened just now, it was a subconscious action because it was in too much pain. This was not its cry. After howling for a while, the Jiao suddenly turned its head to look at Fong Ping. Its huge head looked even taller than Fong Ping. It stared at Fong Ping with its big eyes and howled in pain for a while. Fong Ping's expression did not change. He did not say a word, pretending that he did not understand. This guy was shameless to the extreme. It actually wanted him to give it some imperishable substance. It did not have enough. Bullsh *T. Fong Ping cursed in his heart. Are you kidding me? You're telling me that 1,000 yuan of imperishable substance is not enough? Do you think I'll believe you? Nan Yunyue had advanced to the peak. She had lost so much, and Fong Ping had only given her 10,000 yuan of imperishable substance. Even so, Nan Yunyue was almost stuffed. The Jiao had only advanced to a weak rank, 9. It was not an origin path yet. Why would it need so much? At this moment, the Jiao panicked. It stopped howling, and suddenly its mentality fluctuated. Chef, not enough. I want to eat it. The Jiao's voice rang in Fong Ping's mind. The guy's big eyes kept staring at Fong Ping, then turned to the surrounding demons. It was obviously telling Fong Ping that they were brothers, that they were on the same side. You said you were my friend. If you don't give it to me now, will you be able to face your friend? Fong Ping looked at it with a half smile. This big dog was stupid when it needed to be stupid, but it was also smart when it needed to be smart. Was it going to eat him up? After cursing in his heart, Fong Ping was too lazy to talk nonsense. He tossed over a lump of imperishable substance, about 500 yuan. To Fong Ping, a few million worth of wealth stores was not considered much. The Jiao swallowed it in one gulp. Its big eyes were full of anticipation, as if it wanted more. Fang Ping's expression turned serious. He glared at it threateningly. If you want more, I'll kill you and get a rank 9 divine weapon. The Jiao seemed to feel threatened. It quickly turned its head away, no longer looking at Fang Ping. The golden horn was still evolving. Fang Ping also noticed that the guy had fused a large amount of imperishable substance into the golden horn. It seemed like the golden horn was mainly being tempered. After a while, a powerful aura exploded from the Jiao's body. At this moment, the golden horn no longer glowed. The originally golden Jiao was no longer glowing. Instead, it was much dimmer. When the golden glow on its body dissipated, the hundreds of rank 7 and 8 demons around it fell to the ground. Roar! Squeak! Squeak! A woo! All sorts of cries rang out. They were congratulating the Jiao for becoming a demon king. The Jiao roared and responded loudly. Then it looked at the other 4 rank 9 demons, its big eyes filled with pride. I have become a demon king. Now, everyone is on equal footing. You all still have to face the threat of Chef. And I am Chef's master. At least I used to be. Back then, Chef was just an existence that provided energy for the Jiao. Now, he was just doing his job. No matter what, these demon kings were frightened by Chef. They did not dare to make a sound. But I did not. The Jiao felt a little proud. This was the difference between them. These 4 demons might be slightly stronger than it, but their status was far from its. The Jiao was still feeling smug. Fang Ping smiled. Brother Jiao, congratulations on your breakthrough. Now that you have become a rank 9, you can find a place and call yourself a king. As for the bounded domain, Brother Jiao, don't get involved. The Jiao roared. At this time, it remembered business. I want to be a real demon king, the king of a territory. The Jiao began to communicate with Fang Ping. Its voice was loud, hoping that Chef could give these demons a place to live. Otherwise, they would have nowhere to go. Fang Ping listened for a while and shook his head. No, I said, the demons are not restrained. It is very troublesome. For the sake of Brother Sly, I've already given in. Otherwise, according to my character, I would have killed all of these demons and ended the matter. Roar! You will restrain them? Fang Ping was a little troubled. You can restrain them? After all, Brother Jiao has just leveled up. Moreover, Brother Jiao has been outside all this time. It has not been long since you came in. Will they listen to you? Fang Ping glanced at the 4 rank 9 demons around him suspiciously. 3 demonic beasts and 1 demonic plant. Fang Ping had actually seen this demon plant before. It was a bloodthirsty tree demon. Listening to the Jiao and submitting to the Jiao was something they found hard to accept. If Jiao was a veteran rank 9 demon king, it would not be a problem. However, a 9th grade demon king that had just advanced was above them. The demons looked at each other. Their eyes flashed red, but it quickly disappeared. Rank 9 demons were not weak. If they could kill the human in front of them, they would definitely do it. But when they thought of the fact that this person could control the restriction and that there was a powerful existence inside, finally the demons screamed at Jiao and landed on the ground. They did not fly anymore. This was a compromise. They still wanted to stay here and continue to cultivate. The bounded domain was a relatively safe area. Here, although the demons could not cultivate as they pleased, at least no powerhouses dared to trespass, including the true king realm. Even the 10,000 demon royal court could not control them. The demon race from the forbidden lands of Imperial Sea Mountain wanted to control them, but they were not afraid at all. They directly killed their way out of the domain and fought their way to Imperial Sea Mountain. After a massacre, they returned to the domain. Those fellows did not dare to come here. Roar! Jiao stomped its hooves, looking excited. That was it. All the things that it had been dreaming of had come true today. Becoming a demon king, establishing its own forbidden land. It had done it today. In the next moment, Jiao's voice rang in Fang Ping's mind. Chef, I've become a real demon king. Fang Ping glanced at it. I didn't mind earlier. What did you *king call me? Chef, do you think I won't kill you and make you into a divine weapon? Fang Ping looked at the giant Jiao and was suddenly tempted. I want to ride you, can I? He had never ridden a demon in his life. Ji Yao was still riding the phoenix, but the phoenix was only a rank 7. Although it had condensed golden bones, it would probably take a while for it to reach rank 8. Jiao was a rank 9. Fang Ping had never seen anyone ride a rank 9 demon before. Humans had captured demons and used them as mounts, but most of them were rank 7. At most, they were rank 8. In the end, they were killed. Demons were too difficult to tame. Little Jiao, I think there's something on your back. Fang Ping suddenly transmitted his voice. The Jiao's eyes widened. What was that? It looked sideways, but did not see anything. Fang Ping smiled. Maybe it's because I just advanced. I'll go up and take a look. Don't leave any side effects. You're going to become a true king. Don't delay it. As soon as he finished speaking, Fang Ping leaped into the air and landed on the Jiao's back in the blink of an eye. The Jiao did not think too much about it. It was just a little surprised. Was there something? I've become a rank 9. Did I not realize it? It continued to turn its head to look at its back, wanting to know if there were really any sequelae left behind. Fang Ping ignored it. At this moment, Fang Ping was standing on the Jiao's back, his hands behind his back, his face full of regret. What a pity! No one took a picture of him. He was standing on the back of a rank 9 demon, and it was still looking around foolishly, not realizing that he was treating it like a mount. He did not even need to use his martial arts. This was life. Fang Ping stood on the Jiao's back, looking down at the demons. The rank 9 demons did not make a sound when they saw this. The relationship between the golden horned beast and this human was not ordinary. Was the golden horned beast prepared to become his mount? The demon race had demons as mounts. Many of the demons who guarded the royal court were like this. This was also a point that the demons were criticized for. The demons who guarded the royal court were seen as traitors. But now, in the next moment, the demons suddenly thought of a big demon. There was a big demon in the inner circle, very, very strong. The other party did not seem to come out or could not come out. But every time the tide of life erupted, they could often see the other party. The other party even had some contact with the demons in the Forbidden Sea through the inner river. That big demon seemed to be a human's mount. Did the golden horned beast want to walk the path of that big demon? While the demons were thinking about this, the Jiao was still foolishly looking for flaws. It sent a telepathic message to Fang Ping. Chef, is there a problem? Fang Ping listened to this voice and felt a little uncomfortable. He sent a telepathic message. Don't send me telepathic messages. Continue roaring. This fellow's voice was like a baby fish. Hearing it, it felt like bullying a child. It was at least 100 years old. Was it fun pretending to be a child? Fang Ping could not be bothered with it. He sat down on its back. It was uncomfortable. If it's a mount, it should be made into a good saddle. Fang Ping glanced at the Jiao's big nose. Maybe it should be pierced and fitted with a bridle. As Fang Ping thought about this, the Jiao suddenly became restless. It felt like something was wrong. Chef was riding it. It was not for humans to ride. The Demon King also wanted its face. If Chef did not come down, it would go crazy. Fang Ping saw that it was restless, but did not care. He casually threw some imperishable substance on its back and smiled. That's about it. It shouldn't be a big problem. After saying that, Fong Ping floated down from its back. The Jiao continued to turn its head to look at its back. It glanced at Fong Ping suspiciously. Was Chef really helping it solve its future problems? Why do I feel like he's lying to me? Fong Ping ignored it. He looked at the surrounding demons and said slowly, "Since you have an agreement with Brother Jiao, then I won't bother with you anymore. As for what to do, it's up to you. But there are some things you still have to do. One more thing, you're not allowed to attack humans." Of course, I'm talking about initiating attacks. If there are humans who infringe on your interests, you can deal with them as you see fit. You're not low-level demons with no intelligence. I think everyone understands what I'm saying. After saying that, Fong Ping tilted his head to look at the Jiao. He said telepathically, "Get ready. Once the war breaks out, you'll move out. This is also the time for you to establish your authority and prove yourself. Whether you can sit firmly on the Demon King's throne depends on you. I can help you once, but I can't help you forever." The Jiao nodded its head and roared a few times. Fong Ping understood and nodded. "Then you can deal with it as you see fit. As for your internal problems, you can deal with them as well." After saying that, Fong Ping said, "You can leave first. I still have other things to do." As he said that, Fong Ping looked around and said coldly, "Don't create trouble for me. There are some things that Brother Jiao knows. The 7 Southern region will soon become MCMAU's territory. From now on, the places you live will be MCMAU's territory. If the catacombs' true king doesn't enter, I can't do anything to you. But this is my elder ancestor's territory. He's inside. Anyone who crosses the line will be killed without mercy. All right, all of you can leave." Hundreds of demons were silent. No one said anything. Very soon, these demons left together under the Jiao's roar. As for how they discussed and arranged, Fong Ping did not care. He could not have too much contact with the demons. If he had too much contact, it would be easy for problems to arise. He just had to maintain a cold and aloof state. After settling the matter with the demons, Fong Ping thought of LV Jun. After a while, on a large platform, Fong Ping released LV Jun. When LV Jun saw Fong Ping, he was slightly stunned. "So young, Vice-Chancellor Fong." LV Jun did not know if Fong Ping was really young, or if he deliberately maintained his youthful appearance. It was not convenient for him to ask in detail. Fong Ping was not in a hurry to speak. He glanced at LV Jun. He did not look like a martial artist. He looked more like a scholar. He had LV Jun's photo. When he first went to the catacombs, Lu Fengru gave him a pocket watch. There was LV Jun's photo in it. When he first went to the catacombs, Lu Fengru had hoped that Fong Ping would meet LV Jun. In the end, after a few years, there was no news of LV Jun. Even Lu Fengru thought that her father had died. She did not expect that he would meet him this time. A pocket watch appeared in Fong Ping's hand. When LV Jun saw the pocket watch, he was stunned for a moment. Then he said hurriedly, "Vice-Chancellor Fong, Fengru gave this to you?" "That's right." Fong Ping chuckled. "Grandmaster, LV, I dare not. Vice-Chancellor Fong can just call me LV Jun." Vice-Chancellor is very powerful. Before LV Jun could finish the pleasantries, Fong Ping coughed dryly and laughed. "Others can call me that, but not Fong Ping. Grandmaster LV has a very deep relationship with Fong Ping. Your daughter, Instructor Lu Fengru, is actually my instructor. In fact, I can even call you Grandmaster." LV Jun was stunned. "Grandmaster? His daughter's student? You must be kidding me. His daughter had a rank 9 student? Where did he come from? I've only been out for 3 years, not 30, but soon." LV Jun's gaze changed. He said hurriedly, "Vice-Chancellor Fong, What year is this? He did not know the time in the mountains. Although he felt that he had only been here for 3 years, who knew if 1 year in the boundary zone was 10 years in the outside world? There were all kinds of strange things in martial arts. It was not impossible. Could it be that a few decades had really passed? 2010, December. Elvision continued to be stunned. I did not remember wrongly. It has indeed only been 3 years. What is this situation? Elvision paused and said with some difficulty, Fong, Vice-Chancellor Fong, how old are you this year? I dare not. Grandmaster LV, you can just call me Fong Ping. I'm 20 years old this year, but I'll be 21 soon. LV Zhen's head was buzzing. He felt that he had really been beaten silly. 20 years old. Rank 9? And a rank 9 who could kill a rank 9. What happened in the outside world when I was not here? I achieved rank 9 and thought that I could already suppress the turmoil and awe in the catacombs. But when I came out, I encountered a series of unbelievable things. Not only was he beaten half to death, but he was also saved by his daughter's student. His daughter's student was only 20 years old. 20 years old. Rank 9. The more Elvision thought about it, the more confused he became. Am I still not awake yet? Fong Ping looked at Elvision's dazed expression and sighed in his heart. He had been beaten silly. A 20-year-old rank 8. You can't even accept this. You're a rank 9 martial artist after all. Can't you have some self-control? Chapter 804. Fong Ping, are you really Fengru's student? On the big platform, Elvision was still in a trance. This was indeed his grand disciple. In the end, he came out of the bounded zone confidently. He could even imagine his daughter's shocked expression when she saw him coming out alive and becoming a rank 9. But now, he seemed to be a little unconfident. His grand disciple was already a rank 9. What about his daughter? Thinking of this, Elvision asked hurriedly, Is Fengru all right? I heard that Hope City has been breached. Fong Ping frowned slightly and asked quickly, Grandmaster LV, how do you know that Hope City has been breached? The senior inside said. Fong Ping's eyes moved and asked hurriedly, You've seen living people inside? Yes. Elvision said quickly, There's a senior from the ancient martial era inside, and a monster called Kitten. Kitten can communicate with some of the demons in the Forbidden Sea through the energy river below the bounded zone, and know some things about the outside world. The demons in the Forbidden Sea can communicate. Fong Ping's eyes moved slightly. Rearing demons. The demons in the Forbidden Sea were very difficult to communicate with. In other words, they almost ignored outsiders. Unlike other demons, they would at least pay attention to you. However, the demons in the Forbidden Sea would not even bother to pay attention to you. Now, a monster inside Kwokang Mountain could actually communicate with the demons in the Forbidden Sea. At this moment, Fong Ping thought of Warlord's words. When the bounded zone was revived, there might not be any living subordinates, but it was very likely that a group of demons would appear. Previously, Fong Ping was still thinking that the demons in the bounded zone were not considered strong. Kwokang Mountain was considered an exception, with many rank 9 demons. As for the other bounded zone, there were actually only some rank 7 and 8 demons. If the bounded zone only reared these demons, then it was considered nothing. It did not even have the strength of a forbidden land. Now, however, Fong Ping suddenly felt something. The demons reared by the bounded zone might not be those in the bounded zone, but those in the Forbidden Sea. A long time ago, Fong Ping had discovered that the Forbidden Sea tributaries near the bounded zone had a terrifying number of demons. Rank 9 were like cabbages. Back then, when Rose City Lord casually crossed the river, there were a lot of rank 9s below. Now that he thought about it, Perhaps it was the bounded zone's credit, or they actively manipulated it. The demon race of the Forbidden Sea had the power of a domain. Fong Ping thought to himself. Very quickly, he said, "Instructor is fine. It was an accident that Hope City was breached earlier. More than 10 rank 9s from the Magic City catacombs attacked Hope City. We were forced to abandon Hope City. But last time, we killed 6 rank 9s. This time, my coming to the bounded domain is also related to the upcoming counterattack." Before Fong Ping had finished speaking, LV Zhen was already completely stunned. Am I really behind the times? Was there a double-digit number of rank 9s fighting now? It had only been 3 years. 3 years ago, when a rank 7 powerhouse made a move, it was already considered a high-ranked battle. It was a serious matter that would cause a series of chain reactions. Now, more than a dozen rank 9s were attacking. 6 were killed. Lu Zhan wanted to continue asking, but Fong Ping was not in the mood to talk about this. He said hurriedly, "Grandmaster Lu?" Lu Xin felt a little uncomfortable when he heard that. He coughed lightly and said, "That, you can just call me Old Lu or Old Man Lu. Between warriors, there is no need to pay attention to such things." Fong Ping was also a rank 9. Hearing him call him Grandmaster, Elvesian still felt a little awkward. Fong Ping also had a headache. He smiled quickly and said, "Then let's be more intimate. Call me Grandmaster." "Don't. I'm not used to it." Elvesian smiled bitterly. "I'm really not used to it." Seeing that Fong Ping could not call him old man, Elvesian thought for a while and said, "Call me Dean then. I used to be the deputy dean in the Combat Techniques Research Institute." Elvesian was a scholar-type martial artist. He used to mainly study cultivation methods related to mentality. Fong Ping still had some understanding of Elvesian. This was a social-type martial artist. The establishment of the 3 major companies, pills, weapons, and energy, were all related to him. Elvesian was a veteran rank 7 powerhouse, and he had been promoting these. The mentality detector that Lu Fengru gave Fong Ping previously was also related to Elvesian. It was a project that he had participated in before. Elvesian had shares in the pill and weapons companies. Although it was very small, he was almost the only person in Sino Nation who owned shares in these companies. This included the research on pills and prescriptions. Elvesian was very proficient in them. Initially, he came to the land of boundaries with the purpose of looking for mentality cultivation methods. Fong Ping saw that he said so and did not hesitate. He smiled and said, "Then call me Dean." "Dean, may I ask, how did you enter the inner area?" "It was by chance that I came to the land of boundaries that day. It just so happened that on that day, the energy tide erupted here, and I just happened to rush here." As Elvesian said that, he smiled bitterly and said, "Actually, I didn't go in. That day, Senior Azure Cat happened to be wandering around. I saw it through the boundary wall, and it also saw me. I don't know if it was out of curiosity or for other reasons. Senior Azure Cat opened a small opening in the boundary wall and gestured for me to go in. At that time, I was in a dilemma. Many demons were absorbing energy nearby. Plus, I was really curious about the land of boundaries, so in the end, I went in. In that case, the boundary wall was not opened by you." "No. The humans and demons inside can open the boundary wall." Fong Ping was not surprised by this, but he was a little puzzled. "Then why didn't they come out? According to what you said, Senior Azure Cat did not come out, but opened a small opening for you to go in?" "That's right. What's the strength of Senior Azure Cat?" Elvesian shook his head. "I'm not too sure, but it's very strong. It might be the legendary Desperate Realm. Desperate Realm demons." Fong Ping was a little surprised. Then his eyes moved. Desperate realm demons. Humans can actually cultivate desperate realm demons. This is extremely rare, unless it's the legendary beast taming sect. In that case, Kwokang Mountain might be the beast taming sect. Fong Ping suddenly thought of what happened in the Imperial battlefield. When the war started, the powerhouse's mounts were in chaos and fled in large numbers. Fong Ping went to a historical site. A senior left a message saying that he could go to the beast taming sect to see the situation and ask how to deal with it. The beast taming sect might have a solution to summon those chaotic demons back. Kwokang Mountain, could it be the beast taming sect that the senior mentioned? Fong Ping had a guess in his heart. He was still thinking about it. Elvision was also a little impatient, asking hurriedly, Fong Ping, what's the situation in the outside world now? Why did you come to the land of boundaries this time? Fong Ping suppressed the doubts in his heart, smiling. The situation in the outside world is not bad. The war has not broken out yet, and human strength is increasing day by day. We have already conquered a few catacombs. Fong Ping briefly explained the situation, but LV Zhen was dumbstruck again. MCMAU had dozens of grandmasters. There were even many rank 9. Rank 7s were almost everywhere on the streets. Desperate Realm was not a legend. Commander Li, Minister Zhang, and Minister Nan were all Desperate Realm, and the Guardians of the East and North were also in the Impasse Realm. There were more than 10 other Desperate Realm powerhouses in Sino Nation. Before this, LV Zhen felt that the seniors in Kwokang Mountain were very scary, including that monster. He was even worried that these people would come out and cause trouble in Sino Nation. Now, however, LV Zhen knew that he knew too little. He actually knew Zhang Tao and the others, but it was also the first time he knew that these people were Desperate Realm powerhouses. Seeing LV Zhen's dazed expression again, Fong Ping felt very tired. I still have a lot of questions. This Grandmaster is very unreliable. Don't be dazed so easily. Fong Ping took a look at the boundary wall, thinking for a while, saying, Dean, are the seniors inside easy to talk to? This Elvision thought for a while, and still said, they're not bad, but the rules are a little strict. Do you want to go in? I advise you not to. This senior doesn't seem to like people entering the interior. I was just an accident. Because Senior Cat brought me in, that's why I was left inside. Is that so? Fong Ping was a little eager to try. I didn't get any benefits coming in this time. In the next moment, Elvision said again. Also, this time the senior said that there are people from both the North and the South sect outside. The senior seems to be a powerhouse from the South sect and is more hostile towards the powerhouses from the North sect. Before coming out, he even asked me to kill the martial artists from the North sect. Elvision looked at Fong Ping. At this moment, he said with some doubts, did a lot of people come to the bounded zone this time? The imperishable substance in the eternal lake inside has been greatly depleted. The senior doesn't seem too happy. As he said that, LV Jin said again, oh right, Fong Ping, the martial artist who attacked me earlier was Fong Ping coughed dryly and said, I've already killed him. He's just an evil sect member, a clown. Dean, you don't have to worry about him. Fong Ping interrupted him and quickly changed the topic, saying, Dean, the South sect and the North sect you mentioned, forget it, I'll ask when I get back. Fong Ping did not continue to ask. He had plenty of time when he got back. What he was considering now was whether he should go now or not. The people inside seemed to be angry. It wasn't because of him, right? He had sensed it earlier. The pressure was accompanied by anger. At this time, the other party was in a fit of anger. If he went in, would he be caught in the crossfire? Forget it. It won't be too late to come back after conquering the 7 southern regions. Fong Ping was not in a hurry. There were some things that had to be clarified. The purpose of coming to the bounded zone, this time, had been achieved. Now that the demon clan had agreed to cooperate, entering the bounded zone at this time might cause unnecessary trouble. If he were to be left inside, like Elvesian, that would be a big problem. If he stayed for 3 years, Fong Ping could not afford to waste time. It would not be too late for him to try again after talking to Old Zhang, Warlord, and the others. If there was really trouble, he could ask them to think of a way to save him. However, how could he go back now? Elvesian was a rank 9. Could he hide his rank 9 aura? Logically, rank 8 and rank 9 were different. He could not hide it. However, he was a rank 8 7th refinement. In terms of realm, he was not worse than Elvesian. Moreover, Fong Ping had always guessed that hiding aura might not require the realm, but the strength of mentality. Only mentality could have the effect of shielding. His mentality was almost 8,000 hertz. Elvesian might not be higher than him, right? The golden body was stronger than him, and his mentality was stronger than him. The only difference was that Elvesian had his own direction. Fong Ping did not. This was the difference between the two. Could he hide him? Fong Ping thought about it and decided to give it a try. If it did not work, then he did not really want to bring Elvesian out this time. It would be more dangerous. He was not in danger, but Elvesian was. It was better to wait for the counterattack to end before letting Elvesian out. Fong Ping broke through to rank 8 7th refinement. He had many things to do and had not tested the system's functions. At this moment, Fong Ping wanted to give it a try. Very soon, Fong Ping used the system's functions. The next moment, Fong Ping's eyes moved. Elvesian's aura disappeared. Elvesian himself did not notice the abnormality, but Fong Ping felt it clearly. It really works. Fong Ping was a little surprised. He was just giving it a try. He did not expect it to work. Did this mean that the system had tacitly agreed that he and the weak rank 9 were martial artists of the same level? Or did it mean that the level did not matter, but the level of mentality was the key? Fong Ping guessed for a while and was a little surprised. He could hide the weak rank 9's aura, but the origin path probably could not. In the following counterattack, could he hide the few weak rank 9 martial artists, paralyze the Imperial Sea Mountain's true king, and buy more time for himself? Not thinking about this anymore, Fong Ping said quickly, "Dean, let's go back to Earth as soon as possible. This time, you came out from the land of boundaries and stayed for 3 years. The instructor has been missing you, and the ministers probably have something to ask you too." Elvesian heard that and said hurriedly, "I also have something to discuss with the ministers." Since the ministers were all peak level, although Elvesian had promised the Kwokang Mountain seniors that he would not teach the cultivation methods to outsiders, he really wanted to teach the cultivation methods to humans. Even if something happened to him, it was not a big deal. Mentality had shackled too many people. If the cultivation methods could be disseminated, it might be of great help to humans. As for what the Kwokang Mountain seniors thought, Elvesian could not care less. Sometimes he knew he should not do something, but he had to do it. Then let's go back now. Fong Ping did not delay, taking another look at the boundary wall. Not only were there people in Kwokang Mountain, but there were also desperate realm monsters. This was big news. He had to inform the outside world as soon as possible. Moreover, Fong Ping thought deeper. The human mounts back then, had they really all died? Demons had a long lifespan. The battle at the King's battleground was more than 2,000 years ago. If the demons back then were strong enough, they might still be alive now. Where were they? For more than 2,000 years, had these demons been guarding the King's court? 10,000 demon royal court? Or the Forbidden Sea? Could Kwokang Mountain summoned these demons back. More than 2,000 years, if they did not die, they should have achieved peak level. Even if they were not back then, they should be now. After all, they had lived for so many years. Living for so long meant that their realm was profound. A rank 9 might not be able to live until now. Kwokang Mountain was very important. This place should not be touched easily, otherwise it might cause big trouble. Southern Sect and Northern Sect? Are they talking about Iron Head and Old Yao? Old Lu achieved rank 9 so quickly. His mentality did not cause any shackles. Imperial Beast Sect, the crystal ring last time. Information flashed across Fong Ping's mind. A lot of things were opening up to him. If these ancient martial artists were all dead, Fong Ping would not care about these secrets. Now, however, these ancient martial artists were not dead, and they played an important role, so he could not ignore them anymore. Fong Ping really wanted to figure this out. At the very least, he had to know the difference between friend and foe. 8 territories. There might be 8 desperate realms. No, there was still a monster here. What about other places? Maybe there were more than 8 peak-level monsters. This was a power that could change the entire situation. If Sino Nation had 25 peak-level monsters, even if they were not a match for the catacombs, they could still seal off the entire outer realm. Even if 25 people did not seal off Imperial Sea Mountain and return to Earth, those true kings would not dare to come over easily. History is getting more and more confusing. What the hell are these guys doing? Fong Ping cursed in his heart. Very quickly, he collected his emotions and said hurriedly, "Dean, let's move then." LV Jun did not delay, but he still said, "Are we leaving through the passageway now?" The passageway is more dangerous now. Previously, there were 18 rank, 9 martial artists sealing it. I don't know if there are 18 now, so we're not going through the passageway. LV Jun's footsteps paused slightly. I wanted to leave through the passageway. I even wanted to break through the passageway and kill my way back to the human world so that my daughter would know that I have returned, and returned in a powerful manner. But now, LV Jun suddenly felt a little lucky. Fortunately, he met Fong Ping. Otherwise, I would be dead meat. 18 martial artists. What kind of joke was this? Was the outside world like this now? 18 rank 9s dared to counterattack. Moreover, he had killed 6 previously. Did this not mean that almost all the rank 9s in Magic City catacombs had appeared? You said that Wu Quishan is already a rank 9. Then, did he go to kill Sky Gate City's city lord, that be asterisk starred? Sky Gate City's city lord died a long time ago. Previously, he sensed some aura in the instantiation space, but it disappeared very quickly. At that time, he thought it was because his master had died. Now that he thought about it, it was restrained by someone, and this grand disciple could also restrain his aura. Was he really his grand disciple? However, the pocket watch in his hand was indeed his. The person who attacked me, could it be him? LV Jun thought about it and shook his head slightly. It should not be. Otherwise, Fong Ping would not need to kill so vigorously. The moment Fong Ping and LV Jun left the bounded zone. Inside Kwokang Mountain, Big Cat emerged from the bottom of the river, shook its big head, and suddenly said, "Gone." The ultimate glory demon clan could speak in human language. Gone. The illusory figure was still illusory at this moment, even if there was no one watching. Gone. Those little ones said it was a little strange, but they sensed my aura, and I did notice that my aura has left this place. Interesting. I thought they would come in, but they didn't, the illusory figure said, and then said slowly, "Cat, after sleeping for so many years, are you lonely?" Big Cat swayed its head, resting it on the bridge, and said nonchalantly, "It's all right. I don't like to move anyway. So sleeping is quite comfortable. Have you recovered from your injuries?" Almost. Do you have to go out? Big Cat lifted its head, revealing a human-like, puzzled face. Why must I go out? Isn't it good to just stay here? Fighting and killing isn't good, and it's easy to get hurt. It's a little boring, but I can also find some people to come in. The illusory figure glanced at it and said after a while, I have to come out. After so many years, you're still the same. Cat, when we go out this time, if you dare to fight again, I won't be polite to you anymore. Big Cat's head continued to lie on the ground, saying lazily, I didn't run. I fell asleep. I really fell asleep. The sun was really nice that day, and I just wanted to take a nap, but when I woke up, you guys had already finished fighting. The illusory figure shuddered and said after a long time, I know you're asleep, or else the illusory figure felt a little helpless. Big Cat really fell asleep. When he escaped back after the Battle of the Kings ended, Big Cat was still snoring, which almost angered him to death. He had said that he would rush over as soon as possible, but it was already over, and Big Cat still hadn't woken up. But this was also good, because Big Cat didn't go, so he could be safe. Otherwise, something might have happened to him. Big Cat ignored him, scratching its face with its tail, and said lazily, I kind of miss those old friends. I wonder how many of them are still alive. Is little Jian still alive? He used to fish for me to eat, and I haven't eaten for a long time. I kind of miss the taste. Don't mention him. The illusory figure snorted. Unquestionable Jian, that guy. It's good that he's dead. He's not dead. He's lucky that he's not dead. If it weren't for him, things wouldn't have turned out this way. Big Cat was too lazy to listen to this, and continued to say, when you guys were fighting, did those old guys appear? Are they really dead? I remember seeing them when I was young, but it's been so many years, I don't really remember. I only remember that there was a big dog that stole my food every day. I don't know if it's dead or not. I really want to beat it up. The illusory figure felt that there was no need to continue the conversation. Eat, 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 eat. Sleep after you're done eating. You're not a cat. You're a pig. If I had known this would happen, I would have raised a pig back then. Why would I raise a guy like you? You've eaten so much of my food, and you're always thinking about useless things. Ignoring Big Cat's topic, the illusory figure said again, Elvision went out. I don't know if he can see those old guys. So many years have passed. I wonder how they're doing. Do you think they've saved some rations from before the Great Change? The illusory figure felt a little tired and fell silent. Big Cat said again, when I go out, I won't fight. Can I go fishing in the Forbidden Sea? If I stay neutral, will they beat me up? Shut up. You're the one who made me talk. You shut up. You're still as hot-tempered as ever. This isn't good, right? Do you still want your body? If you don't, do you think it'll taste good if you roast it? Do you want to give it a try? Cat. The illusory figure trembled for a moment before vanishing in the next instant. He was about to die from anger. This cat was getting more and more annoying. Chapter 805. Magic City Catacombs. Fong Ping brought Elvision out of the boundary zone. Along the way, Elvision was terrified. He realized that this grand disciple of his was really daring. When he walked through the 10,000 ants desert, he did not even stop. He used flight step directly. This was the forbidden land of the demons. Fong Ping did not think too much. He was fast. The demons in the 10,000 ants desert should not be able to catch up with him. Moreover, it was not easy to hide with Elvision. He wanted to save face too. Should he dig a hole? With Elvision now. Let bygones be bygones. Now that he had dealt with the demons in the boundary zone, he could go around in circles in the Magic City Catacombs. Sensing his situation, Old Zhang and Warlord would think of a way to get him out. Even if they did not go out, it would be the same if they attacked in advance. MCMAU had the strength to fight back now. Fong Ping and Elvision might be better inside. Fortunately, Everything went smoothly. Not sure if they did not notice Fong Ping, or if they were too lazy to chase after him, there was no movement in the 10,000 ants desert. Fong Ping passed the 10,000 ants desert safely and started in the direction of Imperial Sea Mountain. He hoped that Warlord was reliable and could bring him away in time. Fong Ping actually wanted to go through the passageway and let old Zhang cooperate to intimidate the rank 9s outside the passageway. However, if he went through the passageway now, it would expose him coming in. If he brought Elvision away, it might cause some trouble. If that was the case, it was better to go through Imperial Sea Mountain. If he was careful, the true king might not notice him. Imperial Sea Mountain. Warlord leaned on a boulder. He had already sent the 2 old guys away. Now, he was chatting with the human martial artist guarding below. Of course, he was the one talking most of the time. Little Zhang, is it fun staying here every day? Is it boring? You can come up here if you have time. Chatting is fine too. I remember you talked a lot when you were young. Why don't you talk now? All right, when I go back this time, that guy Zhang Tao is studying some screen movie. Next time when he's done, I'll bring it to you. You can watch a movie when you're free. Do you know what a movie is? Little Zhang, you're behind the times. When the catacombs are conquered and you return to the surface, you won't be able to keep up with the times. The War King was very talkative. The elder below raised his head and glanced at him. After a while, he said in a muffled voice, Patriarch Zhang, I'm cultivating. Can I have a moment of silence? The War King was dissatisfied and snorted. Cultivate? How many years had he cultivated? How far had he walked on the Origin Dao? Is it 500 meters? Little Zhang, the Origin Dao is not something that can be achieved through hard work. But that's all you can do. You walked on the source Dao of your past life, which can also be considered an external Dao. Actually, your future is limited. I have never seen any resurrected martial artist that was that strong. But do you still remember Guo Shengquan and the other 2? I have some impression of it. The 3 of them have recently stepped into the Origin Dao. Do you know why they're so fast? Moreover, this old man feels that these 3 have a brighter future than you. Do you know why? Patriarch, please guide me. The most important thing is still fate. The War King laughed and said, You people, none of you will believe me even if I tell you. When you were young, I told you to follow the times. He had to follow the guidance of fate. When you were young, I let you interact more with Li Shun, let you hang around with Zhang Tao and the rest, but you didn't believe me. Look at what happened now. They've all reached the pinnacle. Now that these fellows have reached the pinnacle, they're considered to have reached the peak. The next era should begin. Heroes are created by the times. Zhang Tao and the rest made the neo-martial arts era rise. The upcoming war between the 2 worlds might start a whole new era, one that would surpass the previous era. The future era would be magnificent. Perhaps even more powerful children of destiny would be born. Heroes would come forth in large numbers, countless heroes. This was a disaster, but also an opportunity. In this era, the rise might only happen overnight. In this era, the gathering of influential figures could already be seen. MCMEU Fong Ping, CCMEU Li Hansong, and MU Wang Jinyang, FMS Yao Qingjun. These were all one of them. Including MCMAU's Wu Quishan, Li Changsheng, these people are actually all counted. Many people come from MCMAU. Do you know what this means? Below, the old man's expression changed slightly. You mean the center of the gathering is in MCMAU? He was a resurrected martial artist. He grew up in Star Town when he was young and knew War King. Not only did he know him, but he was also quite familiar with him. This was War King's personality and habit. He always talked to others about fate. Martial artists did not believe in fate, but War King believed in fate. He was considered a weirdo. However, War King's eyes were indeed sharp. When Li Jun and the others were young, War King had said that those who were not afraid of death could follow them. In the end, they might become the top. Of course, the mortality rate was very high. At that time, not many people believed in him. However, reality proved that War King's eyes were indeed sharp. Li Jun and Zhang Tao had really become the top, and they were even the powerhouses. This scene now was somewhat similar to that time. However, the outbreak was faster and more intense. The center of the gathering was in MCMAU. War King chuckled. That's right. Although there are many heroes in this era, including overseas, Star Town is also erupting. The younger generation is getting stronger and stronger, and rank 7 martial artists are emerging. However, this center is indeed in MCMAU, or should I say, the center is in Fangping. Lil Zheng, don't blame me for not reminding you. You're not young anymore. You've got guts. Take a gamble. Why do you still need to guard the passageway? Once MCMAU takes down 7 southern regions, the passageway will not need to be guarded, and martial artists from the restricted area will not be allowed to enter. What you mean is, the old man was moved. MCMAU is really going to counterattack this time, and the chances of winning are very high. Nonsense. War King chuckled. The chances of winning are quite high, provided that there are no accidents. It's better to be safe than sorry. War King said for a while, then said, this time, take a gamble and do something big. You might as well leave the passageway and go to Hope City to participate in the battle. Maybe there will be a surprise. Let me remind you, whether or not you can become the top depends on this gamble. Of course, participating in a normal battle may not have much effect. Fighting a winning battle does not show kindness. That kid Fangping thinks that he has calculated it well, but this time, I think it's a little risky. You'd better go to 100 Beasts Forest and block it. 100 Beasts Forest may participate in the battle this time. If you make a move at the crucial moment, and the Monster King of 100 Beasts Forest can't kill you, you'll win. If you kill it, then you're unlucky. There's nothing you can do about it. As long as you don't die, you can block a forbidden area by yourself and save MCMAU. That kid will be very grateful. When that time comes, you might get a lot of benefits. The old man called Little Zheng frowned. Ancestor, 100 Beasts Forest wants to participate in the battle? If that's the case, then we have to prepare in advance. How can we be so careless? War King shook his head. It's the same whether we prepare or not. We can only send so many people. If there are too many, there will be accidents immediately. If there are too many people, those fellows will feel that something is wrong. They will definitely inform the various territories and attack together. When that time comes, it will be even more troublesome. Therefore, the number of people in the counterattack battle is more or less fixed. However, you're an unexpected factor. Usually, people don't care about guardians. But I alone, I might not be able to block the 5 Monster Kings of 100 Beasts Forest. That's why I'm betting. War King chuckled. If we can win for sure, why would we look for you? Fortune comes from danger. That's how it is. If you don't die, then there's hope. If you die, then it's over. MCMU won't lose too much. At most, they can just run. Escaping is not a big problem. However, if that's the case, I'm afraid it'll be very difficult for the 7 Southern Territory to fight back. Fangping, the old man, was slightly puzzled. He said, I've always heard of this Fangping, but I've never seen him. Is Fangping really worth your attention, even comparable to the 3 ministers? You haven't seen that kid, but he should have seen you a few times. He's gone through the passageway many times. As War King spoke, he suddenly looked ahead. After a while, he said with slight doubt, He's back? It doesn't seem like he's the same person. He did not sense any chi, but he had been paying attention. Most people would not pay attention to two stones flying in the air, but he did. This kid entered the catacombs and kidnapped a woman. It seemed like there were two people. War King did not say anything more. He said quickly, "I'll be leaving later. You take it easy." The Green Wolf King and the others have been in a bad mood recently. If they vent their anger on you, I might not be able to save you in time. Also, when MCMAU counterattacks, try to leave this place. Whether you go to 100 Beasts Forest or not, it's best not to stay here. War King gave a few reminders. The martial artists guarding Mount Royal Sea, martial artists below the Paragon level, actually came from Star Polaris City. There were resurrected martial artists, and the disciples of the Paragons like them. Of course, they took in very few disciples. Among the martial artists guarding the Mount Royal Sea passageway now, War King did not take in disciples, but there were a few other Paragon disciples guarding. These people were also people from Star Polaris City. They suffered more than the Paragons. The Paragons would at least go back, but they would not go back, and it was even more dangerous. The Paragons had the strength to fight against a true king, but they did not. If a true king really did not care about anything and forced his way in, they would be the first to die. As he spoke, War King had already seen two figures in the distance. Who did Fong Ping bring out? War King was a little suspicious. The old man did not notice at first, but now he also looked in that direction. Then he was slightly stunned and could not help but ask, "Ancestor, did he really come in?" When the true king transmitted his voice earlier, he thought that War King was joking, purposely trying to scare people. Now, it seemed that Fong Ping really came. Of course it's true, the ancestor doesn't lie. After saying that, War King smiled and said, "If there's a chance, go back to Star Polaris City and take a look. It's been so many years. If I don't go back soon, all my acquaintances will die." The old man fell silent. After a long time, he said, "I hope there's a chance. Go back." He was already used to the days here. He had been guarding the Grand Canyon of Mount Royal Sea for as long as 60 years. That year, when the passageway just opened, he came. For 60 years, he did not go back. In the past 60 years, only recently did War King come here to guard. He had the opportunity to understand Star Polaris City and the outside world. Although there were Paragon patrols in the past, they rarely communicated. Everyone was used to silence. Of the acquaintances from the outside world, how many were still alive? He had some impression of Guo Shengquan and the others, but it had been too long. In his impression, Guo Shengquan and the others were still children. Time was merciless. Now, those people had also stepped into rank 9. Sometimes the old man thought, if he was still alive when the catacombs were pacified, would he really be able to get used to it? However, every time the old man thought of this, he would laugh at himself. When the catacombs were pacified, would he really still be alive? Ancestor, War King glanced at the old man, slightly puzzled. The old man chuckled. "If the ancestor comes back, can you do me a favor?" "Speak." 60 years ago, before I came to Mount Royal Sea, I buried a jar of wine near the Hall of Myriad Origins. I was young and full of vigor. I thought that pacifying the catacombs might not be long, and that after pacifying the catacombs, I would go back and have a good drink. Now, 60 years have passed. I don't know if that jar of wine is still there. If it is, can the ancestor send it to me? I suddenly feel like drinking. I've almost forgotten the taste of wine. At this moment, Fong Ping was almost there from afar. Even though they were thousands of meters apart, Fong Ping still heard these words, and for a moment he felt indescribably complicated. Without waiting for War King to speak, Fong Ping smiled and said, "No need to let Senior War King, bring it. I'll bring it for you next time. It'll only be a few days. When the time comes, you can go to Hope City for a drink. This passageway, it's fine, even if we don't guard it. It's hard to say about other territories, but 7 Southern Territory is a territory that MCMAU is determined to conquer. There's no reason why we can't conquer it. After conquering 7 Southern Territory, the ultimate martial artists will guard this place for a long time. There's no need to guard the passageway anymore. The old man looked at Fong Ping, nodded with a smile, and sent a similar message. Then we'll wait to drink this wedding wine. MCMAU conquers 7 Southern Territory. There's nothing to celebrate. This jar of wine, take it as a congratulatory gift. As the two of them were talking, above them, War King chuckled and said, "You're talking about wine? That jar of wine was gone 30 years ago. Wine? Where did the wine come from? When you left that year, the things that you hid were almost all gone." War King laughed and said quickly, "The ancestor. I still have a few jars of good wine. When the time comes, I'll bring them." Fong Ping smiled and said, "I also brewed a few jars. They're all brewed with life essence. Some rank 9 monster plants leaves and some energy fruits. I've stuffed them all in a big fruit wine stew. When the time comes, try it." As soon as he said that, War King snorted softly, too lazy to speak anymore. What does that mean? If you want to talk about wine, just talk about wine. What's the point of talking about materials? Do you think I'm poor? I just don't want to do it. Paying no heed to him, the War King glanced at LV Jun for a moment before asking, "This is that specialist, LV?" Fong Ping was a little surprised. Did Warlord know LV Jun? Warlord had always been at Mount Royal Sea. Whenever he came out, he would only appear in Star Town. LV Jun was only a rank 7 martial artist. How did Warlord know him? LV Jun didn't recognize the Battle King, but he could sense how powerful this person was. He hurriedly bowed and said, "Senior, I am LV Jun. I know you. We can talk when we have time. I have some ideas about the brain nucleus cultivation method that you proposed back then." Zhang Tao and Li Zhan, those 2 fools, didn't pay much attention to you in the first place. Only now do I realize that your conjecture is somewhat reasonable. Brain nuclei can be materialized for cultivation. LV Jun was slightly stunned and couldn't help but ask, "You found the brain nucleus?" He was stunned. Fong Ping was still stunned. What does that mean? Did LV Jun discover that the brain nucleus could be used for cultivation? This was a little unexpected. The War King laughed. "We'll talk about it later. Let's retreat first. Otherwise, the 2 true kings will come back later." Having said that, the War King swept the 2 of them up and left quickly. Fong Ping waved at the old man below, without saying a word. After this, the old man might not have to guard the passageway anymore. The War King left. Thousands of miles away, under a waterfall, 2 true kings were playing chess. They couldn't help but look in the direction of Mount Royal Sea. He left. This guy came and left in a hurry. What is he doing here this time? The Green Wolf King was a muscular man. The Bamboo King was much more delicate. The Bamboo King pondered for a moment and said slowly, maybe he's preparing to counterattack 7 Southern Territory. The resurrected martial artists won't give up on 7 Southern Territory. The Martial King has been guarding outside the passageway, afraid that we'll kill our way out. The War King probably came here for the same purpose. The Green Wolf King frowned slightly. This timing is a little troublesome. According to my plan, we should take advantage of the opening of the 100 Kings Conference to gather everyone and attack together. Even if we don't start a war with the true kings, we have to make the resurrected martial artists powerless. Starting a war with the 108 territories at the same time can delay the resurrected martial artist's progress and eliminate some threats. The Bamboo King chuckled. I want to, but some people aren't willing. If we kill too much and the Martial King and the others take action, do we really want to fight to the death? Let those guys watch the show. They can't wait for us to kill each other so they can take advantage of it. The Bamboo King sighed. The true kings of the divine continent have their own ideas. The hearts of the people are not united, and there are constant infighting. Otherwise, the land of rebirth would have been destroyed long ago, even with powerhouses like the suppressing Heavenly King. However, everyone wants to protect themselves. Over time, the land of rebirth has become a threat. In the past few decades, the Martial King, the Netherworld King, the Moon King, and the others have all become kings. Their combat strength is so strong that even I might not be a match for them. Nurturing a tiger is a recipe for disaster. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have waited, the Green Wolf King sneered. It's all your heavenly plants' royal court's problem. You should have made your move long ago. You waited until now. Don't talk about us. The Bamboo King chuckled. If it wasn't for your reluctance to make a move, things wouldn't have turned out this way. We're fighting to the death with the land of rebirth, but you guys are just waiting behind to kill both sides. Everything belongs to you. Who would be willing? The Bamboo King quickly changed the topic. Let's not talk about this. The passage will be fully open soon. So many years have passed. We can afford to wait a few more years. Green Wolf, what do you think about the Land of Kings? The Land of Kings, the resurrection of the two kings, the Green Wolf King said softly and chuckled. Even if the two kings have Tao remnants, how many are there? Will it really be our turn? The Fate King, Qian King, Maple King, these guys are watching, including the one from the Myriad Demon Royal Court. The one who guards the royal court. They're all watching. Bamboo King, in my opinion, we shouldn't get involved. The Bamboo King shook his head. You can't say that. Although the Fate King, Qian King, and the others are hall masters in name, the true kings of the True King Hall are still free. However, once the two kings are revived, Green Wolf, do you really think we can stay out of this? When the two kings were still around, God Continent only knew about them. Who knows about the other kings? The true kings are suffering. Now that we've finally gotten rid of the rule of the two kings, are we really going to let the two kings return? It's not that simple. The Green Wolf King said faintly, that was then, this is now. There are hundreds of true kings in God Continent now. Who would agree to be the servants of the two kings? The era of the two kings is over. Bamboo King, you're overthinking. Overthinking? I don't think so. The Bamboo King chuckled. Is it true that only the two kings are revived in the Land of Kings? Are the people from back then all dead? The two kings have been hiding in the Land of Kings for so many years. Are they really unprepared? The Green Wolf King did not speak. After a moment of silence, he said, You mean we can forget about the two kings? The people they commanded back then might not have integrated into the Chaos Origin Tao. The war with the Land of Rebirth is about to begin. The future is even more dangerous. We need to protect ourselves, too. This time, when the 100 Kings Assembly opens, let's contact a few more. Ignore the two kings and keep an eye on the generals under them. Kill a few of them and seize the Great Tao. Maybe we can also become leaders. The Green Wolf King glanced at him and said indifferently, What brings you to me? The Heavenly Plant's royal court is very complicated. The Bamboo King shook his head and said, Inside, there's the Maple King. Outside, there's Li Zhu and the Guardian Royal Court. It's a mess. The same goes for all of you. Fate Monarch wants to step onto the third Grand Tao, surpass Heavenly King suppressing, and become the only one in the heavens. Now that his son Ji Hong had become a true king, Fate Monarch, that old fellow, had ruthlessly killed Ji Hong. Who knows, he might really have stepped onto the third great Tao. But would the king of 100 Mountains and the others agree? They were willing to let the Fate Monarch become the second Fate Monarch. Fate King, this fellow's ambitions were not small. He called himself Fate King. The way I see it, he's just waiting to be crowned the fated monarch. If he kills the revived, fated monarch, he might really be able to replace him. The Green Wolf King's expression changed slightly. Fate Monarch, Fate Monarch, Fate Monarch, Heavenly Plant. These two titles were actually taboo. The two monarchs were the Fate Monarch and the Heavenly Plant Monarch. No one would use the two monarchs' titles to name themselves. After the Demon Emperor's era ended, the two monarchs ruled God's continent. Rumor had it that the two monarchs did not have the title Heaven in the beginning. It was only later that they were crowned. In other words, before the Fate Monarch ruled Destiny Royal Court, he had the same title as the current Fate Monarch. The name of true king was repeated. Actually, this was indeed a taboo. If the Fate Monarch was still in power, or if everyone knew that he was still alive, such a thing would not have happened. However, when the two monarchs were in hibernation, the Fate Monarch did it, and no one dared to question it. At this moment, the Bamboo King exposed this publicly acknowledged fact, but he did not think about it. This caused the Green Wolf King to fall silent. After a long time, the Green Wolf King said, "Let's not talk about this first. How should we deal with the 7 southern regions? The land of rebirth has to retaliate. We cannot let them do whatever they want. Don't let the White King and Pine King's jokes happen to us." Seeing that he did not want to talk about that, the Bamboo King did not mind. He smiled and said, "We still have to look for the Maple King and the rest, including the G family. Fong Ping is an MCMAU. Don't these people want to kill Fong Ping? Don't King 100 Mountain and the rest want to kill him?" In the land of kings, previously, the descendants of the kings fell one after another. How could they not care? 1 or 2 divine generals per family is enough to deal with everything. The Green Wolf King nodded slightly. That was true. He did not want to lose the divine generals under his command to the outskirts. It was easy to get into trouble. As for the divine generals under the other true kings, it did not matter. Chapter 806. The two catacombs kings were discussing. At the same time, Fong Ping and Warlord had once again set foot on Mount Royalsea, preparing to return to Earth. Meanwhile, Magic City Catacombs, Underground Passageway Hall, Zhang Tao, Li Zhen, Nan Yunyue, and a few powerhouses from MCMAU rushed over. When Zhang Tao came to Magic City to suppress the catacombs, he also brought Wu Quishan back. At this moment, Wu Quishan was floating in the air in the spacious hall. His aura was getting stronger and stronger. Beside him, Lu Fengru looked worried and anxious. She looked at Zhang Tao a few times. Although Zhang Tao didn't look at her, he knew what she was thinking and smiled. "Don't worry, it seems that she's about to wake up." It had been almost a month since Wu Quishan fell into a coma. After such a long time, Wu Quishan had finally digested the mystic jade, true monarch source Tao, and was about to wake up. After Zhang Tao finished speaking, Li Zhen glanced at him. Zhang Tao's white beard was an eyesore, making him feel uncomfortable. Unable to hold back, Li Zhen transmitted his voice to Zhang Tao. "Pluck that beard out for me." He really felt uncomfortable watching this. An impasse realm expert, who was not even 100 years old, was really considered a young man. Compared to Heavenly King Zhen and the others, Zhang Tao couldn't be any younger. In the past, it was fine. This fellow maintained the appearance of a middle-aged man with black hair and no beard. That was not a big deal. But after not seeing him for a few days, this fellow actually grew a long white beard. Li Jun even suspected that there was something wrong with Zhang Tao's head. Zhang Tao stroked his beard and replied with a smile, "If you like it, you can grow a beard too. I'm almost 100 years old. What's wrong with growing a beard? You have a problem with that." Li Jun was annoyed. Beside him, Nan Yunyue glanced at the two of them, disinclined to bother with them. She said, "Now that Wu Quishan has awakened, how is his source Tao?" As soon as he said that, many people from MCMU looked over. Zhang Tao smiled calmly and said, "I'm thinking about a problem right now." "What?" "It's time to divide the origin Tao." Zhang Tao chuckled. In the past, there weren't many rank 9s. There weren't many origins martial artists either. Everyone didn't interact much either. At that time, everyone was too lazy to make any distinctions. There was no need for that. But now, with more and more people coming into contact with the experts, it's time to make a quantitative standard. The division of martial arts ranks only came about when there were a lot of people. The difference in ranks was not only to highlight the difference in ranks, but also to allow martial artists to have a clear understanding of themselves. Chi and blood used cards, mentality used Hercules, destructive power used elemental force, and there were 9 ranks in martial arts. These distinctions were all for the sake of quantifying martial artists and allowing them to have a better understanding of themselves. Take energy ores, for example. In the past, cultivation-aiding energy ores and non-aiding energy ores were used to distinguish them. Later on, as the number of energy ores increased, they began to be divided into 9 grades. Hearing Zhang Tao say this, Nan Yunyue and Li Jun didn't think that he was making a fuss over a minor issue. The meticulous division of martial arts ranks was also to give martial artists something to look forward to. Generally speaking, the Origin Dao was above the Origin Dao, which was an unreachable goal for 99% of Origin Dao experts. Li Jun couldn't care less about his beard at this time. He slowly said, "How are you going to differentiate?" Actually, it is very difficult for us to observe how far one has walked on the origin path. Under normal circumstances, it is the cultivators themselves who measure it. Even the cultivators themselves are not very clear. Zhang Tao smiled faintly. This question is simple. The cultivators themselves may not know how far they have walked on the origin path. However, the cultivators still know how much their power outburst and how much their amplification is. This is a quantitative standard. After saying that, Zhang Tao continued, "Let's take the top non-peak rank, 9 as an example. Their own vitality can reach as high as 150,000 calories. The origin path has reached its limit, but it hasn't reached that level yet. If we calculate it according to a doubling of amplification, then he can have a vitality outburst close to 300,000 calories. 300,000 calories vitality. This is the top non-peak powerhouse. Actually, to measure a martial artist's rank, I think we should look at the outburst, not the upper limit of one's own ability. If a top rank 9's upper limit can reach 300,000 calories, it is very likely that he won't be able to achieve such an outburst. Then you think we should use combat strength as the standard to measure?" "That's right." As the few of them were talking, Old Man Li rolled his eyes. Glancing at Wu Quishan, whose aura was still growing, he could not help but say, "Ministers, there is no hurry to talk about this now, right? How is old Wu now?" It was indeed necessary to divide martial arts in detail. However, at this time, Wu Quishan was still recovering. It was not appropriate to talk about this, was it? Zhang Tao glanced at him, chuckling. "What's the hurry? Wu Quishan is fine. It's a good thing that he's awake. Just wait a little longer. Li Chongsheng, what I'm talking about now is the important thing. Once the standard is determined, you may be able to enter the rank 9 ranking list." Zhang Tao was all smiles. For the weak rank 9, we usually start with 100,000 calories vitality without any increase in strength. Some of the weaker rank 9 have poor control. The vitality outburst strength may only be 50 to 60,000 cal in the future. If the classification standard is determined, these weak rank 9 may be eliminated. They may fall from the rank 9 ranking list. Zhang Tao laughed again. Of course, comprehending the origin path is indeed a symbol of rank 9. It's not good to be eliminated just like that. Therefore, we need to discuss how to determine the issue of rank 8 and rank 9. This is still quite important. Why are we divided into rank 3 and 12 stages for honing the lower 3 ranks? It's to let martial artists step by step have a small goal and move toward the small goal. Now, if we divide the lower 3 ranks into the same rank, then the bone honing period is too long. At this time, everyone is always in the same rank, and there will be a lack of motivation. Does the minister need to explain this to me? Old man, Li was speechless. I'm not a primary school student. Do I need you to teach me step by step? He was not saying that they could not divide the ranks in detail. He was just reminding you that Wu Quishan was the important thing now. What was old Zhang thinking? Zhang Tao chuckled. He did not mind. He would put this aside for now. It was only when Nan Yunyue mentioned Wu Quishan that he thought of this. He could not always use the origin paths less than 1/10 of a point to say that he was an origin path powerhouse, right? The origin path was also a long process. Those who reached the pinnacle had been walking for hundreds of years, even thousands of years. This process was too long. A clear quantitative standard was indeed needed. They did not continue this topic. Seeing that everyone was paying attention to Wu Quishan, Zhang Tao watched for a while and said, now that he's awake, he can enter the top 10 of rank 9. Although he hasn't reached the pinnacle, but he should be close to Wu Chuan. That's it. At this moment, Old Man Li said, a little surprised. Zhang Tao and the other 2 suddenly looked at him in unison. What did he mean? That's it. Wu Chuan is not here. Otherwise, he would beat you to death. 3 departments and 4 residences. 7 leaders. 5 of them were at the pinnacle. The 6th, Zhang Weiyu, was about to reach the pinnacle. If Zhang Weiyu achieved the pinnacle, then Wu Chuan would be the first person below the pinnacle. Of course, this was Sino Nation's ranking. The ranking might not be accurate. Wu Chuan should be slightly weaker than Zhao Xingwu. He was not far from Kong Lingyuan, Chen Yaozu, and the rest. No matter what, he was still a top-notch rank 9 powerhouse. In the end, Li Changxing said, that's it. At this moment, Zhang Tao was a little stunned. Were the guys in MCMAU so arrogant now? Li Changxing saw them looking at him. He coughed softly and laughed dryly. When he returns from the Magic City catacombs this time, I think his strength will grow a little, maybe even further. Old Man Li thought for a while and said, I've always been curious about one thing. Why did you let Senior Wu become the South Guardian back then? He had just achieved rank 9 back then, and he became the South Guardian. There are many more suitable candidates than him, right? Nan Yunyue glanced at Zhang Tao, saying lightly, ask Zhang Tao about this. Zhang Tao sneered, saying indifferently, what's so strange about it? Back then, when the South Guardian fell, someone was needed to replace him. The one I had in mind was actually not Wu Chuan, but your instructor. Although your instructor was rank 8 back then, he had been at peak rank 8 for many years. He had actually comprehended his own origin path. What I meant was that the government should think of a way to gather a batch of resources to help him heal and advance to rank 9. However, you also know that the government's resources were also limited at that time. They were all extremely precious resources. Your instructor was not willing to waste these resources. He also rejected the position of the South Guardian, but he recommended Wu Chuan. Your instructor was also second to none in the South at the Grandmaster level. The students he taught were all over the South. At that time, there were 14 governors in the South. 4 of them were from MCMAU. MCMAU was also the top elite school in the South. There were also many MCMAU students in the military department. Considering all these, Wu Chuan became the South Guardian, which was enough to command the entire South. With your instructor holding the line, there was no need to worry about people being dissatisfied. That was how Wu Chuan advanced to rank 9 and became the South Guardian. It was Old Man Li's first time hearing about these secrets. After hearing that, he said with some regret, "If that's the case, back then my instructor had a chance to recover?" "Yes, he did." Zhang Tao shook his head and said, "But your instructor had been fighting for many years. His imperishable substance had long been used up. His golden body was also severely damaged. At that time, the deficit was huge. If he wanted to recover, actually, if it was now, it's really not that difficult. Ask that kid Fong Ping to provide him with 1,000 imperishable substance, and I guarantee that he'll be full of vigor." However, at that time, we had just achieved our peak not long ago. I mentioned helping him recover, but he didn't agree. At that time, that fellow said that we have to defend Mount Yuhaitian. We can't waste our energy for him, lest we get ambushed by the catacombs' powerhouses. In the end, he was actually exhausted. The battle in Magic City was also the last battle that he chose. Old Man Li nodded slightly and said nothing more. At that time, the instructor was indeed an arrow at the end of its flight. Chun Guyang had been guarding the Imperial Sea Mountain Passage. It seemed like he had never left. Who knew how many years he had been sitting there? This time, Fong Ping did not hide his appearance and aura. Chun Guyang glanced at Fong Ping, then at LV Jun. He seemed to have guessed something. He looked at the two of them, nodded slightly, and did not say much. Fong Ping, on the other hand, cupped his fists at Chun Guyang and said with a smile, "Senior Chun, I pretended to be Zhang, how previously I made a fool of myself in front of you." Chun Guyang smiled faintly. "No problem. It's better to be careful when you enter the catacombs. I haven't had the time to thank Yao Zhu and the others for what happened previously. You should thank Vice Chancellor Fong instead." "Senior, you're too kind. It was Senior Yao Zhu who helped me last time." As Fong Ping spoke, Chun Yao Zhu suddenly looked toward the outer domain in the direction of the bounded domain. Warlord also looked in that direction. Very quickly, he smiled and said, "Fong Ping, the old guy inside, seems to be doing something. You want to go take a look?" Beside him, Chun Guyang frowned slightly. "Don't be rash. There's been some movement here a few times. I suspect it's reviving. If you enter at this time, you might be treated as an enemy." Fong Ping was a little surprised. He could not help but ask, "The seniors of Schwanda Grotto are reviving? Then the one I met last time. It might be a mentality materialization, or it might not have fully recovered from the last time. Recently, there's been a lot of movement in the bounded domain. It might be in a state of revival now." Chun Guyang explained. Then he frowned slightly. "For so many years, there's been no movement in the bounded domain. Recently, it's not just Schwanda Grotto. There seems to be some movement in the other large bounded domain too. The person inside has been quiet for too long. Maybe he's about to come out." Warlord glanced at him. Grinning, he said, "Old Chun, do you think the person inside is your old man?" Chun Guyang's expression darkened. "Mother ***, bastard. There's a junior here." What nonsense are you talking about? How could it be his old man? Chun Guyong said indifferently. It should have nothing to do with the Chun family. Yaozu and the others can't enter at all. That might not be the case. Or your master. Chun Guyong did not refute Warlord's words. This possibility was not impossible. The top of Star Town had their own guesses. Suppressing Heavenly King's arrangement of Chun Guyong to guard the Shishan catacombs might not be a random arrangement. These people might really be related to the bounded domain. Seeing that he did not speak, Warlord said again, "Did the guy inside look for you?" "No, he didn't contact you." Chun Guyong said lightly, "The person inside might not be able to come out now. How can he contact him? Moreover, who knows what our situation is? Moreover, we have our own lives. After hundreds of years, even if it's related to the bounded domain, it's all in the past." After saying that, Chun Guyong looked at Fang Ping and said slowly, "Don't get too close to Pudgy Jiang. There's something wrong with him. I've always suspected that he's the Demon Emperor and has ulterior motives." The monster plant that Zhang Tao picked up in the North Lake catacombs might have been thrown out by Pudgy Jiang. When it comes to understanding humans, he knows them better. Moreover, he's guarding the Nanjiang catacombs, which is very close to the North Lake catacombs. The North Lake catacombs is also the boundary that he patrols. So his possibility is the highest. I don't know what this guy wants. Don't get too close to him. Fang Ping was dumbfounded. What do you mean by saying that in front of Warlord? Also, when you said Pudgy Jiang just now, I thought you were talking about Jiang Chao. Fang Ping looked embarrassed. Warlord was also speechless. He scolded in a low voice, "Don't talk nonsense. I didn't give Zhang Tao that kid's monster plant. If I wanted to give it, I would give it to him openly so that he would remember the favor. I won't hide it when I'm selling a favor. Those who hide it are not good people. Who knows who did it? Also, old Devil Chun, you don't have to test me. I'm not the Demon Emperor. Even if I come from Purple Cap Mountain, I might have a grudge against the Demon Emperor. This guy is an abandoned disciple of Purple Cap Mountain. He might even betray Purple Cap Mountain. Maybe I've fought with him before. However, there's indeed something wrong with Purple Cap Mountain," Warlord said in a low voice. "Not only is there a problem there, the problem might be very serious. If there's a chance, we still have to go and take a look. There's no one from the Jiang family at Purple Cap Mountain, and there are no other humans there. However, I found a passage at Imperial Sea Mountain that leads directly to the bounded domain. It should be related to Purple Cap Mountain. Someone can enter and exit Purple Cap Mountain through the passage at Imperial Sea Mountain. I went to check last time. The traces are very old. The underground has been drilled through. There's an underground passage." Chun Guyong looked at him abruptly. He gritted his teeth and said, "Why didn't you say so earlier? What does it have to do with you?" Warlord's face was full of disdain. He snorted contemptuously before looking at Fang Ping and saying, "I'm talking to you, kid. I actually suspect that you, kid, are a Demon Emperor. That hole, maybe it was you who dug it. I see that you're good at digging holes." Fang Ping's expression was dark. He said righteously, "Senior, don't slander me. I never dig holes." What nonsense was he talking about? Elvision was here. Did he not care about his reputation? Who dug holes? However, there was actually a passage between Purple Cap Mountain and Imperial Sea Mountain. Chapter 807, Magic City. Warlord carried Fang Ping and Elvision. Just as they arrived at Magic City, his gaze flickered, and he smiled. Wu Quishan is awake. Vice-Chancellor is awake. Fang Ping looked pleasantly surprised. Elvision was a little confused. Awake? He really did not know that Wu Quishan had been in a coma. Fang Ping did not mention this either. He only said that Wu Quishan was about to break through to the peak. At this moment, LV Zhen's gaze changed too. So many powerhouses. In the underground hall, Wu Quishan, who was originally floating, opened his eyes suddenly. In the next moment, Wu Quishan's aura erupted to its strongest. In the hall, MCMAU powerhouses had all arrived. At this moment, some rank 7 and 8 martial artists felt a lot of pressure. Several rank 9 powerhouses also unleashed their auras to resist. Guo Shengquan and the other two, Wang Qinghai, Old Man Li, these people's auras were extremely powerful. In the crowd, the 3 peerless powerhouses did not unleash their auras. They looked indifferent. Among the rank 8 powerhouses, Li Hansong also looked indifferent. His divine armor appeared on his body. He felt no pressure at all. Qin Fengqing hid behind him, letting him resist the aura. He popped his head out and rested it on Ironhead's shoulder. Looking at Wu Quishan in front, he asked curiously, "Vice Chancellor has become stronger. Why does it feel so familiar that he became stronger after sleeping?" Ironhead shrugged his shoulders. This guy was very annoying. These 2 days when Fang Ping was not around, this guy kept sticking to him. It was very annoying. However, soon, Ironhead would not have to worry anymore. After Qin Fengqing finished speaking, he stopped moving. His gaze was dull, as if he had lost his soul. Old Man Li and the rest glanced at Zhang Tao, who did not even look at Qin Fengqing. They were speechless. Qin Fengqing was speaking the truth. Were you bullying him? It was a tradition to become stronger after a night's sleep. Someone waking up to the peak was super big news. Zhang Tao imprisoned Qin Fengqing and ignored him. He glanced at Wu Quishan, who was still in a daze. Soon his gaze flickered, and he smiled. Fang Ping is back too. Zhang Tao was slightly stunned. He suddenly looked at Lu Fengru, then at Wu Quishan, and laughed. Today is a joyous day. Fang Ping should have gained something. You two, one's strength has increased greatly, and the other has good news. As soon as he finished speaking, Old Man Li and the others suddenly looked at Lu Fengru's stomach. Old Man Li was a little surprised and shocked. Was there going to be a baby? Zhang Tao was about to finish his sentence when he was stunned. He looked at Old Man Li with a dumbfounded expression. Why are you staring at my stomach? She had not even finished talking about the happy occasion. So why were you looking at Lu Fengru's stomach? Lu Fengru was also very confused. She was very happy just now, but now that she saw Li Changsheng staring at her, she immediately said angrily, "Li Changsheng, do you want to die?" Old Man Li laughed dryly. He had thought of this subconsciously. Now that he thought about it, that shouldn't be the case. If there really was a child, he would be able to sense it. Just as he was about to ask, Old Man Li's eyes flickered. He stopped asking and asked in surprise, "Did I sense it wrong?" At the side, Wang Qinghai had a smile on his face as he said, "I shouldn't have sensed wrongly. It really is him." At this moment, Wu Quishan also opened his eyes. His face was suddenly filled with surprise. He looked at Lu Fengru and said, "Let's go. Hurry up." After saying that, Wu Quishan grabbed Lu Fengru and disappeared from the underground hall in the blink of an eye. Seeing that, Zhang Tao also followed, laughing as he walked. Lu Zhen actually came back with Fang Ping. Did they meet in the bounded domain? Looks like there are some unexpected gains this time. Let's go take a look. Old Lu is back. At this time, Luo Yichuan and the others also knew that Lu Zhen was back. They were all very surprised. Lu Zhen disappeared for 3 years. Everyone thought that he was already dead. They did not expect him to come back alive. Everyone was surprised and happy. They did not care much anymore and walked outside one after another. In the distance, they were already very close to MCMAU. Lu Zhen's gaze was very complicated. He was also a rank 9 powerhouse. His mentality was not weak. At this moment, he had already sensed many things. This is MCMAU? He dared not believe that this was MCMAU. 3 years ago, he often came to MCMAU. At that time, there were not many high ranks in MCMAU. There were not many middle-ranked martial artists either. But now, there were dozens of high ranks, middle-ranked martial artists. He could not count them all at once. There should be a few thousand, right? In the entire MCMU territory, there did not seem to be martial artists lower than rank 3. Even if there were, the number was negligible. Was this really MCMU? Lu Zhen was still in shock. In the distance, 2 figures quickly soared into the sky. When he saw the people in the sky, Lu Zhen could not care less about the changes in MCMAU. It had been 3 years. His daughter and son-in-law were still alive. This was the greatest blessing. Dad, hundreds of meters away, Lu Fengru was also stunned. Father was back. Father was actually still alive. In the next second, Lu Fengru could not hold it in anymore. She broke through the air and went straight to Lu Zhen. Before she reached him, her eyes were already red. These few years, these few days, she had too many things that she wanted to say, but had no one to tell. Her daughter was dead, her father was missing, and she was in a cold war with her husband. Her martial arts had been stagnant. A few days ago, her husband was also unconscious. Although he said that he was fine, how could she not worry? Today, her husband was awake. What made her even more happy was that her father was actually alive and had returned. Fengru. Lu Zhen was also sighing, looking at his daughter flying over. He also smiled, very happy. Fong Ping saw that Lu Zhen and Lu Fengru, father and daughter, had met up. He did not disturb them and landed together with Warlord. Not far away, Wu Quishan did not go forward to disturb his wife and father-in-law's reunion. Seeing that Fong Ping had landed, Wu Quishan's figure also moved, landing in front of Fong Ping and Lu Fengru. He looked at his wife in the sky and chuckled. Fong Ping, you did well this time. You actually brought old Lu back. Fong Ping looked at him, a little surprised. What's your name? Isn't this your father-in-law? Wu Quishan was too lazy to explain. He was just used to calling him that. Besides, his relationship with Lu Zhen was not too good. This old man was against him, and Lu Fengru back then. Lu Zhen was a scholar-type martial artist. If he did not practice martial arts, he would probably be a bookworm. He looked down on Wu Quishan, this sinister villain, and spoke ill of him. Wu Quishan did not say much. After looking for a while, he smiled and said, "This time, it's all thanks to you on my side. It's my duty." Fong Ping did not bother about how he should address him anymore. Seeing that Wu Quishan was awake, he was also happy. He quickly said, "Vice-Chancellor, how are you now?" "Not at the Paragon, yet." "Are you still far from the Paragon?" Wu Quishan shook his head. Beside him, Warlord took a few more looks at Wu Quishan, chuckling. "Kid, you can do it. 2 Daos is 1. There's no unification." Wu Quishan shook his head. "After all, they are 2 different Daos. Actually, I'm just borrowing Mysterious Jade, True King's Dao, not borrowing it. However, now that his Dao is clear, I can walk it first. However, I can't suppress my own Dao too much. That's why this time I didn't use his Dao to break through. You're quite bold." Warlord laughed. "This is not a temptation that ordinary people can resist. Your own origin Dao might not be able to walk out of the future. Although Mysterious Jade's Dao is weak, it is also a true king's Dao. The path is clear. If it was someone else, if they had the chance, they would definitely walk on it. You actually dared to make a choice." Wu Quishan smiled and said softly, In this situation, actually, one more weakest paragon might not be very useful. On the other hand, if I walk out of my own Tao and walk further, it might be more useful. If a great war has broken out now, then I won't wait. But it hasn't yet, so I'll wait and see. Moreover, paragons have restrictions. It might not be better than now. That's true. As the two were talking, Zhang Tao and the others had arrived. Only then did Fang Ping realize that Li Jun and Nan Yunwei were there too. The four big paragon powerhouses were all in MCMAU. It seemed like these paragons were also taking Wu Quishan's matter seriously. When Zhang Tao arrived, he did not talk about anything else. He asked, "LV Jin came from the bounded boundaries." "Yes." Zhang Tao pondered and said quickly, "Let's go to MCMAU's reception hall and wait. Let the father and daughter talk first. I have something to ask later." The few paragons were taking it seriously. LV Jun had returned from the bounded boundaries. Did that mean that he had stayed there for a few years? Fang Ping nodded and did not say anything. At the same time, in midair, LV Jun and his daughter landed. The two found a quiet place. LV Jun looked at his daughter, his face full of emotion. In the blink of an eye, it's been 3 years. In these 3 years, you've changed too much. Fengru, you're already middle stage rank, 7, almost upper stage. Dad, Lu Fengru rarely showed her girlish side. She was a little unhappy. Her father had not seen her for a few years. The moment they met, he talked about strength. This made her very unhappy. Elvesian laughed. He was a little old-fashioned, but at this time he suddenly joked, "I'm relieved. When I saw Fang Ping, he said he was your student. I was shocked. On the way back, I kept thinking, if he's already rank 9, what rank are you? If you're stronger than me, then I've wasted these 3 years. Fortunately, at least I saved some face for you." "He's a monster. He's different." Hearing her father mention Fang Ping, Lu Fengru was also extremely helpless. She said, "He's only enrolled for 2 years, not even 3. I didn't expect him to improve so quickly, but he hasn't reached rank 9 yet. Rank 8-7 Forging Golden Body is almost the same as rank 9. I see. Rank 8-7 Forging, the Northern Sex Way." Elvesian nodded slightly. Lu Fengru looked puzzled. Elvesian smiled and said, "We'll talk about this later. How are you and Kuei Shan now?" "Just like that. I saw that you guys came out together, just now. It seems like your relationship has eased." Elvesian laughed. "You're not young anymore. Don't throw a tantrum. Fang Ping said that the Skygate City Lord has been killed. Let him deal with Duo. I got it. Right, this time MCMAU is preparing to counterattack Magic City Catacombs. Count me in." After saying that, Elvesian suddenly said, "Also, we still need to be careful about the evil sect. Don't let them sneak in. If the evil sect martial artists appear in the middle of the battle, then it'll be troublesome." "Evil sect?" Lu Fengru said in surprise. "The evil sect has been destroyed. Now, other than the big pope who hasn't shown any traces, the other elders are almost all dead." LV Jean was stunned. After a moment, he said slowly, "The evil sect has been destroyed. More or less. There are no evil sect martial artists in Magic City Catacombs. Definitely not. If there were, they would have been discovered long ago." "Fengru, have you seen a materialized space that can trap people?" "Trap people? Fang Ping's will do. This kid's materialization is very special." Elvesian understood. He looked into the distance without batting an eyelid. At this moment, Fang Ping was still talking and laughing with a few powerhouses. Elvesian said thoughtfully, "Fengru, this student of yours is amazing." Elvesian praised. Then his face darkened, and he said in a low voice, Your father was beaten up when I just came out of the boundary zone. The back of my head still hurts. Then I was thrown into the materialized space and was trapped for a long time. Lu Fengru almost laughed out loud. She held back her laughter and said, "He did it. What do you think? That kid even put on a big show and said that it was done by the evil sect martial artists. He even helped me kill the evil sect martial artists." I said something was wrong. LV Jun did not know whether to laugh or cry. He shook his head and said, "Forget it. At least he's not a real evil sect martial artist. Otherwise, he wouldn't have died in the boundary zone. Instead, he would have died in the hands of others right after coming out. That would be so frustrating. Now that Dad came back alive, it's also luck." Lu Fengru laughed and said, "I'll help you teach him a lesson later. Since his strength has surpassed mine, I can't control him anymore. I don't have an excuse to settle the score with him. This time, I'll beat this kid up and let him be arrogant all the time." She chatted with her father for a while. Seeing that LV Jun kept looking in that direction, Lu Fengru knew that her father had something to say. Although she felt that there was no need to be so anxious, she did not delay her father anymore. The two of them walked over there together. In the living room, the three ministers were all there. Warlord was also there. Wu Quishan was also awake. This time, Fong Ping did not have the treatment he had last time. He was sitting at the head of the table. Now, he was sitting below obediently. Above, the four paragons were sitting casually. Wu Quishan did not sit. Instead, he stood at the door and waited. Zhang Tao drank his tea and said with a smile, "Kid, you seem to be in a bit of trouble." Fong Ping rolled his eyes and said helplessly, "Minister, can you not eavesdrop? I know what you're talking about. I didn't hit him on purpose. You really have to give up this hobby of eavesdropping. It invades people's privacy." As soon as this was said, many people agreed with him. Nan Yunue also said, "Zhang Tao, you really have to change your bad habits." Zhang Tao smiled, but did not say anything. Beside him, Warlord said lazily, "He's not eavesdropping. He can't control his strength. This guy's strength is increasing too fast. He can't control it anymore. However, if he's still eavesdropping beyond 10 li, then he's doing it on purpose. If he doesn't exceed this range, his mentality will automatically overflow." Zhang Tao did not beat around the bush and asked directly. LV Jun pondered for a moment. He said, "He's alive, but his condition isn't right. Mentality and flesh seem to be separated. What I've been seeing is probably the manifestation of his mentality, not his true self. When I was cultivating at the Lake of Eternal, I sensed something. Underneath might be hiding his flesh. There might be some problems with these people." LV Jun was much more direct and straightforward than when he was talking to Fong Ping. He said in a low voice, "I suspect that there's a problem with the ancient martial path back then. When these people cultivated to this realm, there might be a flaw. According to the senior from Quechang Mountain, during the sect era, human ancient cultivation was divided into two sects, the North and the South. The South sect cultivates mentality, while the North sect cultivates the flesh." He didn't say the specific inside story. I'm not too sure either. However, there were some conflicts between the two sects back then. There was even a war because of this. The South sect cultivates mentality all the way until the impasse. I don't think it's a big problem. However, once they want to go further, there might be some big drawbacks. His mentality and flesh are separated. I suspect that he's trying to recast his flesh. The South sect powerhouses cultivate mentality. Their flesh isn't too strong. Usually, they enter rank 9 at the Golden Body Stage 5 or 6. Maybe in the later stages, their mentality is too strong. Their flesh can no longer accommodate their mentality, resulting in separation. Although Elvesian did not say anything in the bounded zone, he was extremely wise at this time. He analyzed, there's a problem with cultivating mentality cultivation methods. It's easy to go to extremes. The improvement of the golden body is too slow. In the later stages, there's even an urge to abandon the flesh and simply use mentality as the main body. This way, they won't be shackled by the golden body anymore. This is where the South sect's problem lies. As for the North sect, it's too extreme. They walk the path of the flesh and give up on mentality cultivation. I suspect there will be some serious problems in the later stages. The existence of the bounded zone and these people's hibernation might all be to find a way to solve the drawbacks. Fong Ping glanced at Elvesian, a little surprised. This old man seemed to know quite a lot. He did not say anything earlier. It seemed like he did not trust him. When he arrived here and saw Zhang Tao and the others, he spat out everything he knew. Zhang Tao pondered slightly. Now that you've put it this way, I have some ideas. The ancient martial era's cultivation methods weren't passed down. Could it be that someone did this on purpose? Some paths were actually taken wrongly, so they hoped that the future generations would walk a new path. Fong Ping interrupted. The South sect cultivates mentality, while the North sect cultivates the flesh. Why don't we just merge them into one? The corporeal cultivation method and the mentality cultivation method can be dual cultivated together. Zhang Tao said exasperatedly, "You think it's so simple. You've seen the 9 forging golden body. It's not an issue of dual cultivation. The most important point of the 9 forging golden body is to give up on mentality cultivation and focus on cultivating the flesh. There's a limit to it. I'm guessing that it might not be possible to dual cultivate with the mentality cultivation method." Zhang Tao said for a while, looking at Elvesian, "You obtained the mentality cultivation method." "That's right. However, that senior said that once it's passed down, it might fail." "I know this." Zhang Tao looked indifferent. He chuckled. "It's just a primer left behind by a powerful mentality powerhouse. Once your mentality comes into contact with the cultivation method, it might detonate your mentality. It's no big deal. Tell me later. I'll help you suppress it. This Kwokang Mountain powerhouse's mentality isn't weak." Zhang Tao seemed to have discovered something. He glanced at Elvesian and laughed. "It's a little interesting. It's a little similar to the crystal ring that Kid Fong Ping brought back last time. It seems to be able to restrict a martial artist's mentality." As he said that, Zhang Tao stroked his beard and chuckled. "Maybe I can take the opportunity to judge the other party's strength. If his flesh can't do it, then I'll focus on mentality. I can take the opportunity to feel out his foundation." Zhang Tao was rather confident. He did not care too much about the other party's mentality restriction. He quickly asked, "Are there other people in the bounded zone?" "There's also a peerless demon beast. Other than the difference between the North and South sects, are there any other gains?" Elvesian answered them one by one. Fong Ping listened for a while and looked at Elvesian in surprise. "Did you really enter the bounded zone by accident? And it wasn't old Zhang who sent you?" As the two of them asked and answered, he always felt that something was wrong. Elvesian seemed to trust Zhang Tao to the extreme, and he seemed to have the intention to collect information from the beginning. Everything that he had observed was said by Elvesian. Fong Ping looked at Warlord. Warlord was yawning, ignoring him. He did not care whether Zhang Tao sent him or not. Zhang Tao, this guy had a lot of plans. Who knew if he was the one who ordered it? The restricted zone, the bounded zone, including the outland. Old Zhang was even involved in some of the foreign holy lands. This guy had his hands in many things. He had something to do with suppressing Star City. Although suppressing Star City was a closed city, It didn't take long for news to reach Zhang Tao's ears if anything happened inside. LV Zhen was still talking when Ironhead poked Fong Ping. His gaze was a little strange. Fong Ping nodded slightly. He knew what Ironhead meant. The difference between the South Sect and the North Sect made Ironhead think of something. He and Yao Qingjun, both of their characteristics were quite outstanding. One of them was born with a golden skull. The other could materialize mentality at rank 5. Both of them walked the same extreme path. Of course, that might be the imprint left behind in their previous lives. In this life, or the martial artists of the neo-martial arts era, they were actually developing in a balanced manner. However, it seemed that they had developed somewhat abnormally. Mentality and golden body seemed a little mediocre. However, they were not as extreme as the ancient martial artists. They belonged to the path of unification of all Daos, which completely abandoned the idea of developing mentality. We'll talk about it later. Fong Ping transmitted his voice. Ironhead thought for a while and transmitted his voice to Fong Ping. If there's a difference between the South Sect and the North Sect, then what's your situation? Fong Ping gave him a look and transmitted his voice. Me? What do you think my situation is? Your cultivation methods were passed down by me. I passed down one technique each, but I didn't pass down the whole thing. Do you believe me if I say this? Li Hansong struggled for a while and nodded. Fong Ping was speechless. Believe what? I think you're just comforting yourself. I've already believed you for so long. Even if you don't believe me now, it's useless no matter what I say anyway. P.S. I'm in arrears again. Recently, I've been forcefully updating. The more I write, the more I break down. I can't force myself to write for updates anymore. Sorry, give me some time to adjust. I've been breaking down since December. M. Chapter 808. In the hall. Following LV Zhen's narration, Fong Ping and the rest had a general understanding of the sect era. The sect era spanned a long time. Since the 100 schools of thought, sects had been established. Hence, from that time onwards, the bounded domain was created. The old antiques of the bounded domain were almost all figures from that period. When the sect era began, there was a division between the North and the South. The two sects had different ideals in the beginning, but the estrangement grew increasingly worse in the later stages, and in the end, it evolved into hostility and even war. After listening for a while, Fong Ping thought for a while and asked, Old LV, did the senior of the bounded domain say anything about the king battleground? What role did the two kings and the catacombs play in the early days of the sect era? Fong Ping paused and continued, from the current situation, it seems like the bounded domain was more like an internal conflict, which led to the king battleground and the king battlegrounds war. However, I feel that the war between the North and South sects, logically speaking, has nothing to do with the catacombs. However, it seems like the catacombs played a very important role. Also, was the establishment of Imperial Sea Hill before or after the bounded domain? LV Zhen thought for a while and said after a while, I'm not too sure about the specifics. The bounded domain probably existed at the same time as Imperial Sea Hill. I seem to have some clues about this. The senior mentioned it once, but he rarely appeared. In these 3 years, he only appeared a few times, and he didn't speak much either. Oh, right, LV Zhen said immediately. The bounded domain's existence should have only appeared after the Forbidden Sea appeared. I think the cat mentioned this once. Once when I was cultivating, the cat said that cultivation was too boring, and it was a pity that I couldn't go fishing at the Forbidden Sea now. LV Zhen said with a strange look in his eyes. No, I don't think that's what it said. It said that when the bounded domain was established, others were either cultivating or building sects. Only a few fellows had nothing to do, so they went fishing at the Forbidden Sea every day. This should be what it meant. Fong Ping looked confused. Fishing? Fishing at the Forbidden Sea? Damn, that cat in the Quokang Mountain is so leisurely and carefree. At the side, Zhang Tao couldn't help but laugh. So you're saying that the cat is very lazy? Elvision smiled bitterly. More or less, it rarely appears, but as long as the sun in the domain is a little bigger, it will appear, find a place to bask in the sun, and sometimes come to talk to me. Everyone couldn't help but laugh. How could a desperate realm cat have such a bad taste? When Elvision saw them laughing, he suddenly thought of something and said solemnly, "The green cat doesn't seem to be a native demonic beast of Quokang Mountain. It had a master or a family or a parent, and was also a powerhouse. I heard it mention it once. I didn't hear it very clearly, but it seemed to be saying that when it was young, a big dog bullied it, and it called a lot of experts to take revenge. It seems like they were all top-notch experts. Big dog." Li Hansong suddenly looked at Qin Fengqin. Qin Fengqin's face was ashen. "What does that mean? Why are you looking at me?" Damn, he wanted to hammer Tai Tu to death right now. A long time ago, this bastard said that he was the reincarnation of the howling celestial dog. If he wasn't this guy's opponent, he would have beaten him up long ago. Elvision's purpose was not to talk about the big dog's problem, but rather the fact that the cat was blowing the whistle to call people, not the people of the domain, but other people. Elvision had done a lot of research on the ancient martial arts period. As he spoke, he said in a deep voice, "I suspect that Song Mao is a demon from the apatheicized period. It could be a pet of a powerful expert or a descendant of a powerful demon race. If the old cat can live until now, what about the others?" Investiture of the gods. On the side, the warlord suddenly sighed with emotion. Some things are actually very clear now. Humans had gone through 5 periods: the ancient martial era, the apatheicized era, the sex era, the Saturn era, and the new martial era. The ancient martial era could no longer be traced back. However, there seemed to be something about the apatheicized era. Some legendary figures might not have truly died. The era of conferred gods and the era of sex were connected. Some characters from the era of sex might have been powerhouses from the era of conferred gods. Today, the majority of the living people in the domain had probably lived from the investiture of the gods era until now. There are traces left behind from these eras. Only the ancient martial era is completely unknown. As the warlord spoke, he said slowly, "All of you have seen some historical records of the catacombs. The 2 kings were actually characters from the Demon Emperor era. Was the Demon Emperor a character from the ancient martial era or the apatheicized era?" The 2 kings led the remnants of their troops to flee to the desolate border. What does this mean? Are there any great enemies in the depths of the Forbidden Sea? Or could it be that the end of the Demon Emperor era was caused by the war with humans? The appearance of the Forbidden Sea is also related to the end of the Demon Emperor era. Zhang Tao did not utter a word while the warlord was speaking. When he was done, the others fell silent. Zhang Tao then murmured, "I'm thinking about a question. Was the Demon Emperor a catacombs human or an earthling human?" Everyone was stunned. What was Zhang Tao thinking? Zhang Tao said, lightly, "Actually, I've been thinking that the 2 realms were originally connected. Is it possible that the 2 realms were originally one?" Fong Ping interrupted. "Minister, our physiological structure is different from the catacombs humans. We don't belong to the same race." Zhang Tao chuckled and shook his head. "Life is full of miracles. Everything is possible. The catacombs, humans, could it be that they were originally like this?" Zhang Tao's eyes flickered. "Actually, all of you have forgotten something. The energy sun. The catacombs, humans are different from us. If the energy sun is used as a radiation source, then after a long period of radiation, it will cause the human race to mutate. Zhang Tao looked around and smiled. Since none of you are sure, then I'll give you a guess. Actually, the two realms were one back then. I'm talking about the ancient martial era. During the ancient martial era, there was no distinction between the catacombs and Earth. Perhaps even the world barrier did not exist. A group of martial artists in the beginner stage became stronger and stronger. They were already completely separated from ordinary people. At this time, these people were thinking, I've already become a god and a saint. Why do I still have to live in the same world as ordinary people? Therefore, some ancient martial artists thought of creating a real immortal world, separating this world. Perhaps the catacombs was the immortal world they wanted to create. The key to this was the energy sun. A group of terrifying powerhouses artificially created a sun filled with endless energy to provide energy to the immortal world. They lived in the catacombs, or in their eyes, the immortal world. Gradually, they were separated from humans. Because of this, the apatheicized era began. Back then, there were probably many ancient martial artists who lived in the catacombs. They brought their descendants and subjects to the catacombs to live the life of immortals. They separated the two realms. Ordinary people could no longer enter the immortal world as they wished. However, some accident may have happened later, causing the immortal world to be destroyed. Those powerhouses all disappeared. At this time, the demon emperor seized the victory and unified the immortal world. They began to officially separate themselves from humans. Fang Ping listened for a while, but did not speak. Li Jun said in a low voice, Zhang Tao, what's the purpose of your guesses? Zhang Tao smiled. Actually, what I want to say is that some things are still worth investigating. Actually, I've always been curious about the catacombs' energy sun. How was this sun born? Where does unlimited energy come from? Or rather, where is this sun? Even if we fly hundreds of thousands of meters in the sky, we still can't find it. We can't even determine the direction of the energy sun. Are there people on this sun? After countless years of energy radiation, the catacombs produced countless mineral veins. If there are people living on this sun, Li Jun, you can imagine how terrifying it would be, living in a place with unlimited energy, where the energy emitted is so dense that it can produce hundreds of true kings in the catacombs. How terrifying is that? Li Jun said nothing more. As for Fang Ping, he was a little curious. The first time he went to the catacombs, he was already attracted by the big sun. The abundance of energy in the catacombs had a lot to do with this sun. Did Zhang Tao mean that this sun was man-made? Perhaps there were people living on the sun? Could the catacombs and Earth's humans be the same race? However, some of Zhang Tao's words were somewhat contradictory to the catacombs. Fang Ping remembered Feng extermination, said that humans were originally extremely strong. It was only when the energy dried up that they declined. Could it be that the creation of this sun caused the Earth's energy to dry up? Fang Ping shook his head. History was confusing. Some of the old antiques wanted to show themselves now. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was full of suspense. Ancient martial artists, mythical figures, sect leaders, modern powerhouses, these people went up the stage one after another. The neo-martial arts era might really be a huge key point. All he had to do was listen to these things and remember them in his heart. Fang Ping felt that he had not reached the peak yet. Even if he knew now, it might not be of much use. Very quickly, Fang Ping forcefully changed the topic and said, Minister, now that the Vice-Chancellor is awake, and I've discussed with the demons in the bounded domain, we should talk about the counterattack now. Zhang Tao saw that he was unwilling to continue talking about this. so he did not dwell on it. He smiled and said, "Didn't you arrange it? Then let's just follow your plan. Just set a time, and it's fine. As for the personnel, I'll ask Wu Chuan and Tian Mu to come as soon as possible. Right, rank 7 and 8 martial artists. Who do you want to come?" "There aren't many rank 7 and 8 martial artists here in MCMAU. Fong Ping said, "I want to recruit a group of Grandmaster powerhouses from Magic City. After all, taking down Magic City's catacombs is beneficial to everyone. Also, Wang Jinyang, Yao Qingjun, and the others will come too. This time, I want to recruit some middle-ranked martial artists from martial arts universities," Fong Ping said slowly, "including the middle-ranked martial artists from NMAU and First Military School. The middle-ranked martial artists from MCMAU and Wuhan Military School are now close to 6,000 people. If we can recruit a group of middle-ranked martial artists from martial arts universities, if we can gather a middle-ranked army of 10,000 people, then after we win, we can start cleaning up Magic City's catacombs." After the Battle of the High Ranks, Fong Ping and the others could no longer participate in the Battle of the Middle and Low Ranks. However, were Fong Ping and the others easy to deal with? If they really dared to cause trouble here, this guy would not be polite. As for the few troublemakers in Star Town, that kid from his own family was one of them. Jiang Hao was the most troublemaker among the troublemakers, but that guy also submitted to Fong Ping. How many of the others would dare to cause trouble? The junior of the Li family, that Li Yiming, was also a troublemaker. Now, seeing Fong Ping was like seeing a plague. This time, he was probably in the Shishan catacombs and would not come here. Fong Ping did not care about Warlord's gaze. He said, "Then it's settled. I'll contact people these few days. We'll meet at MCMAU on the 25th. As for the specific time of attack, we'll discuss it when everyone is here. Also, we'll communicate about the situation in Shishan and Shijiang. MCMAU will handle those below True King. Even if there are any accidents, we'll try our best to solve them. However, the True King powerhouses and the 3 ministers will have to rely on you." Li Jin said indifferently, "Don't worry. We'll handle the True King powerhouses. However, Fong Ping, I still have to remind you, if you can't do it, then give up. We also know a little about your thoughts. If you want to turn the Magic City catacombs into the Forbidden Catacombs, it'll be very difficult. If you can't quickly defeat the local powerhouses in the Magic City catacombs, then the restricted area will soon have endless reinforcements. Also, this time the summit has not yet reached an agreement. You have to be careful of the 2 forbidden areas in the Magic City catacombs. In a war like this, they might intervene." Fong Ping nodded. Beside him, LV Zhen gave Wu Quishan a strange look. Who was in charge in MCMAU? Did his son-in-law not become the vice-chancellor? Why did it sound like Fong Ping was in charge now? Wu Quishan pretended not to see it. "Don't look at me. I don't care. I finally led MCMAU to fight a battle when Fong Ping was not around. In the end, we suffered a crushing defeat. The entire army was almost wiped out. Even I almost died. He was also responsible for Huang Jing's death. That day, Huang Jing and the others could have evacuated. However, Huang Jing insisted, and he did not persuade him. Now that he was not dead and could advance further, Huang Jing and many of the teachers and students were dead. As a vice-chancellor, he did not feel good. The teachers and students might not blame him, but following Fong Ping, they had always won big. In the end, Fong Ping had only disappeared for a few days when MCMAU was defeated and lost the Magic City catacombs. Now, the counterattack had to be led by Fong Ping. Wu Quishan felt that it was better for him to be a fighter. Thinking back, He had been thinking that when Fong Ping sent him to the summit one day, he would not care whether he was a vice-chancellor or not. This time, if he did not choose to give up, he might really be able to step into the summit. If that was the case, then he would continue to let Fong Ping lead. Moreover, I'm the vice-chancellor, after all. If we win, it's my credit. If we really lose, it's because of Fong Ping's poor command. Wu Quishan thought in his heart. He glanced at Fong Ping. If you want to be the vice-chancellor, then prepare well. This battle was quite important. In this counterattack, MCMAU was united. If they lost, it would be troublesome. Fong Ping's legend of invincibility would also be broken. After confirming the gathering time, Zhang Tao and the others were also busy people. They quickly dispersed. However, LV Zhen was taken away. Zhang Tao and the others still had some questions, including the mentality cultivation method. Fong Ping did not care about this. Although he was not on good terms with old Zhang, recently, old Zhang would not harm LV Zhen. Before leaving, LV Zhen suddenly said, "About MCMAU's counterattack, see if you can arrange for me to participate. If it's not suitable, I have something to give everyone later." Fong Ping was a little puzzled. Wu Quishan, on the other hand, was a little surprised. He smiled and said, "Old LV, in these few years, have there been any research results?" LV Zhen was still polite to Fong Ping, but not to Wu Quishan. He said lightly, "Do you think I've really been idle these few years? In the past, I've always been shackled by mentality. Some things are difficult to do. However, in these few years, there are some results." Fong Ping did not understand. Zhang Tao, who was in front, smiled faintly. LV Zhen is an expert in many research institutes. He's involved in a wide range of areas. I don't know what results he has this time. I hope it can bring some surprises. LV Zhen smiled. "I will. Not only that, Minister, regarding the space stabilization of the storage ring, I think I have some ideas. This time, I also want to talk to you about these things." After hearing this, Fong Ping felt a little dizzy. Beside him, Lu Fengru seemed a little proud. She glanced at Fong Ping and said lightly, "Your Grandmaster is the initiator of many projects, including the storage ring. It was also your Grandmaster who researched and developed it. In these few years when your Grandmaster is not around, the progress has been stagnant. You understand?" Fong Ping saw Lu Fengru's proud look on her father's face and did not know whether to laugh or cry. Then he could not help but look at Zhang Tao. Since LV Zhen was this kind of expert, why did he let him go to the catacombs? If he died in the catacombs, would it not be a great loss? Also, how did LV Zhen travel thousands of miles to the bounded domain land? Could it be arranged by old Zhang? Quechang Mountain might have mentality cultivation methods. Did old Zhang know? LV Zhen was also an elite in this area. Maybe there were some other factors involved. Now, Fong Ping was more and more suspicious that LV Zhen going to the bounded domain land was arranged by old Zhang. Without giving Fong Ping time to think, LV Zhen and the others left very quickly. As for Fong Ping, he had to busy himself with his own matters. At the same time when Fong Ping and the other high-ranked powerhouses were preparing for the counterattack, the time and venue of the third Martial Arts University Championship had also been confirmed. December 18th. The third championship would be held in MCMAU. As the #1 elite university, powerhouses were everywhere. The championship should have been held in MCMAU. Last year, when it was held in CCMAU, it attracted a lot of criticism. Coincidentally, MCMAU had also begun to contact some martial arts universities. It was a good opportunity to go to Magic City together. On the day Fong Ping returned, he did not see Fong Yuan. That was because Fong Yuan was undergoing training, building of practical training. Fan Yuan looked around innocently. She did not want to participate in the competition. She was only a middle stage rank 3. But now, there were 10 people in the team, and 9 of them were peak rank 3. She was the only one who was a middle stage rank 3. What was she trying to do? I don't want to take this back door. Okay? Among the 10 people, Fan Yuan was the shortest and the weakest. Unfortunately, the instructor in charge of leading the practical training team was Bai Ruoshi. Bai Ruoshi's attitude said that the competition was all up to her and that MCMAU was counting on her. This made Fan Yuan feel even more helpless. Building of practical training. Fan Yuan struggled for a long time. She could not hold it in anymore. She said pitifully, "Instructor, can I not be the captain? I'm only a middle stage rank 3. She was the captain. Fan Yuan was going crazy. There were 9 peak rank 3, and she was actually asked to be the captain. What was the meaning of this? Bai Ruoshi smiled faintly. Your brother, Fang Ping, was the captain of MCMAU in the first and second championship. In the first championship, there were even rank 2 participants. He was only rank 1, but he still led MCMAU to the championship. You are Fang Ping's sister. It is glory, but it is also pressure. If Fang Ping can do it, you can too. Don't you want to improve your strength, to reduce the pressure on your brother? Then this is your chance to show off. Fan Yuan, whether you can do your best or not depends on you." Fan Yuan was speechless. She mumbled, "But my strength is not peak rank 3 yet. The gap is huge. Otherwise, instructor, can I bring equipment to the stage? My brother has an armor made from a rank 9 monster's golden armor. If I put it on, they probably won't be able to break through." Bai Ruoshi's expression froze. This girl was really daring. You, a low-ranked martial artist, wearing a rank 9 armor to battle? Wasn't that bullying? It seemed like the rules had to be changed this time. High-level weapons and armors were not allowed. Fan Yuan was actually not very interested in the championship. Seeing that Bai Ruoshi was silent, she said hurriedly, "Instructor, are we going to counterattack the Magic City catacombs soon? Can we go to the catacombs this time?" No. Bai Ruoshi rejected her without hesitation. She scolded, "Prepare for the championship. Fan Yuan, you have to think this through. If MCMAU loses, this time hundreds and thousands of students will be eliminated. When that time comes as the captain, you will be the most responsible. If these people lose the competition because of you, they will lose the chance to stay in MCMAU. This might change their lives. This is related to the future. This is no child's play." Fan Yuan looked conflicted. She nodded. "All right, I have a big responsibility, but I still feel that the instructor is doing this on purpose. If he wants to win the championship, he should not let me participate. It must be Fang Ping's arrangement." Fan Yuan muttered in her heart, "That guy just doesn't want me to cause trouble for him. He doesn't want me to go to the catacombs, so he wants me to participate. But I'm not causing trouble. I just want to help." Fan Yuan muttered for a while, then made up her mind. If she led MCMAU to victory this time, she would prove her strength and ability. Next time, her big brother would not think that she was only causing trouble, right? If martial artists don't go to the catacombs, even if there are sufficient resources, their improvement will be slow. How can I become stronger if Fang Ping doesn't let me go to the catacombs? Fan Yuan became even more gloomy. Maybe this time it was time to prove herself. Other rank 3 martial artists would have gone to the catacombs long ago. She could do it too. Her big brother went to the catacombs as a rank 3, and she heard that he was called a coward by Instructor Tang. Why did things change when it came to her? I want to go to the catacombs too. I still need to fight for resources. there are still many people in Yuan Ping Club who haven't improved. Fang Yuan thought about these things. She still had many ladies in Sun City who had not become martial artists. Now that the catacombs had been made public, many of those ladies were eager to become martial artists. However, although MCMAU's resources belonged to her big brother, they also belonged to the school. It was not a problem for her to use as much as she wanted, but her big brother would definitely not agree to it if she gave it to those ladies. Fang Ping has no idea how much pressure I'm under. If I stay in school all the time, how can I help everyone improve? Fang Yuan sighed again. Being a big sister was very tiring. She still had to take care of others, but now she was still a parasite. She still had to rely on her big brother's support. If she did not go to the catacombs, she could forget about having extra money in this lifetime. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.